Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Konoha wants Naruto back Mortal Kombat. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Ninjarokusai and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, A Frozen Heart, A Broken Soul. Naruto Uzumaki was walking through the busy streets of Konohagakure no Sado. It has been about 5 years or so after the Fourth Great Ninja War. Naruto, now at the age of 21, had matured greatly. He now stood at 6'2", blonde hair still somewhat longer and spiked back. His black headband with the forehead plate was tied around his head and tied in the back. The excess length of the headband was much longer this time, approximately 3 feet in length, flowing behind him. He actually wore a black face mask, much like his sensei, Kakashi Haddock, only his mask wasn't a part of a full bodysuit, it was only the lower half of a face mask. He wore a pitch black scarf around his neck, the 5-foot excess length of the scarf also flowing behind him as he walked down the busy streets. He wore a tight-fitting black sleeveless shirt with a sword strap on his chest. On his back was a 4-foot slightly curved katana. The handle itself was red, with white little diamonds in the center of the handle. The hilt and weight balance at the end of the handle was a shiny golden color. The sheath was pitch black with a red dragon coiling around the sheath. Around his waist was an orange sash with an armored plate in the center of it, the kanji for 9 engraved on it. He wore pitch black hakama trousers with a red kunai and shuriken pouch wrapped around each leg. He wore high, knee-length armored greaves that were a dark red in color with black straps for support. On the toe part of his greaves, gray claws protruded, taking after the model of a fox. His gauntlets were also the same, red armored and with black straps. His red armored gloves were matching with his gauntlets and his greaves, the only differences was that at the end of his fingertips, the armor had sharpened into claws. He wore a single shoulder armor piece on his left shoulder, it being strapped with his sword strap. The shoulder piece was colored a very glossy black and a dark red cloth hung from it. In the center of the cloth on the back, another kanji for 9 tails was imprinted. Overall, Naruto looked pretty badass. He had specialized in assassination and powerhouse-type jutsus. He had, over the course of these past 5 years, and with the help of thousands of his shadow clones, had finally mastered all 5 elements, plus the wood style. That one had really kicked his ass. That one, the style used only by the first Hokage, had easily taken the longest to learn and even longer to master, a total time of a full year to master. The others, at most, took him only about 8 months to fully master. However, due to following his Nindo, never give up, he was able to achieve it. He had given up on his so-called dream to become Hokage. All of the people in the village still scorned him for something he had nothing to do with, for something that wasn't his fault in the slightest. It wasn't as bad as it used to be, but it was definitely still there, without a doubt. People still threw things at him from time to time, cursed at him, shunned their children away from him, and the like. He didn't want to be known as the Hokage of a bunch of spineless little bitches that couldn't see past their own noses. For now, he would stick to being a ninja. A real ninja. As of right now, he was heading towards Training Ground 7. After Sasuke had returned, he had stayed in the village and had made great progress with making peace with everyone. All of the shinobi force had reconciled with him, after all, they could comprehend his thirst for revenge. Most of the citizens, aside from the select few, had forgiven and forgotten. Sasuke Uchiha was just as a part of the village as they were now. Naruto was supposed to meet him at Training Ground 7 for a light spar training session. They have had the past few days off and were getting bored. Therefore, they decided to train to relieve some stress and just hang out with each other. They were now really good friends who had each other's backs, no matter what. Sasuke had begun dating Sakura seriously now. They had been seeing each other for a little over a year now and things were really beginning to become more serious. For the past year, it was just a relationship. A few dates here and there and a few love sessions here and there and hanging out with their friends with each other here and there. But lately, they had been spending almost every waking moment with each other. Naruto was glad for them both, he really was, but at the same time, he was extremely saddened. He was sad because it was the official end of any chance that he may or may have not had with Sakura. After all these years, he would have thought that he would have gotten over his feelings for her, but he just couldn't help it. It had gone down tremendously over time, however, they were never completely gone. Now, they would have to be. Hinata had gotten over her feelings for Naruto. She had realized that a crush for Naruto was just that, a crush. She and Naruto had made love a few times, and after about the 4th time, Hinata realized that she no longer had an infatuation with him. She had realized this and explained it to Naruto. Obviously, he was hurt, but one didn't stay alive and moving by dwelling on any one thing for too long. Because of that reason, he had put it down, swallowed it, and just moved on. Now, Hinata had married Kiba, and they had already had a son together, named Kizari. Ino had married off to Sai that he would never understand. How could someone like Ino, someone who was outgoing and overly flirtatious, fall for someone with absolutely no social skills whatsoever? On top of that, she was a slightly tanned, big-tittied, had a beautiful ass that was good enough to eat, killer legs, long blonde hair, and he just had a bunch of pale skin and a weird attitude. Opposites attract, I guess. Enko had gotten with Iruka. That, he never saw coming. Iruka-sensei, the man who first accepted him, soft-spoken and loyal to heart, had married up with a woman who was cold-hearted, brash, and coldly immature at times. Once again, opposites attract. So many things had completely changed. However, one thing had not changed at all. It never really had to begin with. Naruto was still alone. And it drove him insane sometimes. It has been said that loneliness is the bane of the soul, and that the soul would be eaten away by it. Naruto had come to believe that. He was suffering from it after all. Sometimes, he would have complete and utterly horrible nightmares about his childhood and also about times during the war. Nothing that he did eased these nightmares in the slightest. And in each and every one of them, the ending was always the same. Everyone had abandoned him. In a crowd of millions, he was still alone. And what was worse is that he was somewhat living that very same nightmare to an extent right now. Here he was, in the most populated village out of them all, and he was alone. Except for the very brief encounters with his friends, if they were even still his friends at all, that is, no one wanted anything to do with him. He was going crazy from everything. Which was why he was going to the training grounds. To relieve some stress. He went there almost every other day to vent out his frustrations. He would often talk to no one, which scared a certain blonde girl that had made it her own personal job to evaluate his psyche from the shadows. Ino had had everyone come to her and Sai's house for individual evaluations to see how everyone was doing. Only Naruto seemed fine and to keep his cheery attitude. Which was a problem. Everyone else was able to come forward and express their emotions and their concerns, and in return Ino would do the same. A dual therapy session, so to speak. However, Naruto was the only one, out of all the shinobi that had fought in the war, that had said nothing was wrong. However, Ino knew better. Every time he was at her house for his evaluations, he was a little jittery. His eyes never stood in one place for very long, always darting around the area, and would occasionally, under his breath, but Ino could still hear him, he would occasionally mention something about stupid ignorant villagers who needed to die. She wasn't sure what he was talking about though, so she decided to not mention it at the time. He also always leaned forward. He never sat back and relaxed, like everyone else did. He never got comfortable. And the thing that surprised her the most was his reactions to any sort of intimate contact of any level. She had seen that he was struggling with his emotions on one session, although his words came out clearly, saying that he was fine. Ino had begun to try to connect with him and gently grabbed his hand and told him to talk to her and that everything was going to be okay. Flashback 6 months. Naruto sat on Ino's couch in her living room. He was leaning forward, hands and fingers interlaced and held in front of his face, eyes never still for more than 5 seconds, as always. Ino sat across from him, her legs crossed and staring at him with a concerned look on her face. Ino had tried everything to get to him. She had tried telling jokes to break the ice. She had tried playing soft music in the background to get him to relax. She had personally made him food and tea, her best recipes that she hardly ever made, even for her husband, Sai. She even tried going a step beyond she had with everyone else and was now wearing lingerie, trying to stimulate the primal portion of the human brain, especially in the male brain. Approximately 40% of the male thought process consists of mating and procreating, true fact, by the way. She had thought that if nothing else would work, why not try stimulating one of the 2 basic instincts of the human brain? Sexual stimulation. However, not even that worked. Ino had worn black fishnet stockings that reached up a little past her thigh with very tall black high-heeled boots. She wore a very skimpy lacy bra that really accentuated her large double D tits. She wore black arm cloths that covered almost her entire arm. She also wore a black silk choker around her neck and lastly, wore a black see-through veil around her face. She had strutted around, overly accentuating her lovely assets, absolutely anything to break Naruto out of his little must protect myself shell. Not even that worked. Ino had been at her breaking point then. Having enough, she ripped off her veil and went onto her knees in front of the sitting Naruto and screamed out to him, "Please, Naruto. I'm trying to help you. React. Give me something here, sweetie, please. You're hurt, Naruto. I'm trying to help you heal." She had reached out and gently grabbed his interlaced fingers that were in front of his face. He had been staring blankly ahead the entire duration, always did, except for when he had looked around for any underlying threats. But when he resumed his look forward, he may as well have been dead. There was no life in his eyes at all, and Ino was desperately trying to get some life back into them. The moment Ino had grabbed his hand, though, even though it was loving and gentle, it had him snapped out of his stupor. He stood up as quickly as he could, withdrew his sword, and held it out in front of him and put Ino behind himself in a protective manner, frantically searching the room. Ino was shocked, to say the least. "Who touched me?" Naruto had yelled out. "Come out. Show yourself. I've had enough of this. I am not the fox. I'm done with this shit. Next one who tries to attack me dies. Come out now." Ino was absolutely stunned. "I'm not the fox. What does that mean?" "Oh no, he means the villagers." "Naruto, darling, what have they done to you to make you like this?" Ino thought to herself. "Naruto," she said softly from behind him. He still had his sword drawn and ready to fight to the death. She could visibly see his muscles were strained anymore and they could quite possibly rip. It looked as if he had been tense his entire life, without a single moment to relax in all of his 21 years of existence. A sure sign of extreme bodily stress easily could lead up to a heart attack. "Sweetie, I'm right here. It's me, Ino Yamanaka," she said slowly and quietly. She figured that the best approach right now, especially with someone as high-strung and ready to attack like Naruto was right now, that going slow and smooth was the best option. That seemed to work because Naruto slowly turned his head and said to her, "Ino, you okay? You're not hurt, are you? And what are you wearing? Did someone make you wear that? If so, I'll find them and I'll—" "No, Naruto," Ino cut him off. "I tried this on to get your attention any way that I could. Naruto, why are you so stressed out? Why are you so dead? You're almost dead to us all, Naruto. What happened to you?" Naruto turned away and sheathed his sword and said to her, "It doesn't matter. What's done is done. Naruto, I want to know where you're coming from." "I'm from here, Konoha, you know that." "That's not what I mean, Naruto." Ino interrupted him. "And you know damn well what I mean. Turn around and face me, talk to me. What the hell is going on with you, Naruto?" Naruto never turned. He just stood there, staring blankly ahead at nothing in particular. Seeing that there was literally no other option, she said quietly, "I'm so sorry, Naruto, but you're giving me no other choice." She quickly performed a few hand signs and said quietly under her breath, quickly placed both of her hands on either side of Naruto's head and said, Yamanaka style. Mind experience jutsu. She wished she hadn't done that. The instant she started seeing his memories, she felt overwhelming sorrow. The thing about this jutsu, though, is once you're in for the ride, you can't stop it. It's like a roller coaster, you're in the ride until the track is gone and the ride stops, there's no stopping whenever you want. It's either all or nothing with this jutsu, and with Naruto, she chose all. Sometimes she's just too nosy for her own good. In about 30 seconds, she had experienced everything that Naruto had ever gone through. Every ounce of pain, every ounce of loneliness, every ounce of heartache, absolutely everything. In 30 seconds. It was clearly too much for her to handle, and she fell to the ground convulsing. She looked up at him, shaking, and said to him, how are you still alive?" Naruto just looked down at her and told her, "I survived, Ino. That's all." He turned to walk away, but Ino called out to him. "Wait." Naruto stopped and turned around and said, "What, Ino?" Ino shakily got up, her entire body vibrating with all of the conflicting emotions and painful memories, but more than anything unbridled hatred for this pathetic village. She couldn't believe that her father had died for the villagers. They were just a whole bunch of ignorant, selfish, blinded fools. Naruto, Ino said to him, I understand now." "You understand what?" Naruto asked with a low voice, a little seething with anger. "How you feel, what you've been through," Ino said. "You know nothing." He shouted at her. He pointed at her and said to her, "Just because you can look into someone's memories, you think you can understand them, you just experienced everything in 30 seconds. You're lucky as hell, Ino. Imagine living with it your entire fucking life. That's why I am the way I am. No one gives a rat's ass about it either. I am alone, Ino. Always have been, and I always will be. I've accepted that fact, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, Ino Yamanaka." Naruto spun around and began walking away. Before he went out the front door, he said to her, "You will do well to remember this, Ino, you cannot fix everyone's pain." But that being said, he exited out of her and her husband's house. Once he was gone, Ino went upstairs to get dressed in her regular attire. She was absolutely devastated and guilty. She had been the one to dish out those hateful name callings and bullying at times. Even though she had never physically abused him, like 90% of the villagers did, she felt that she did just as much damage. She sat down on her bed and cried her eyes out. After about 5 minutes of her crying, she decided to call everyone from their Rookie 9 team to her house. She had some explaining to do about Naruto's behavior. Perhaps if she couldn't help him out, maybe they all could, together. And flashback, and that brings us to our blonde shinobi now. He was on his way to training ground 7, where Sasuke had told him to meet so they could have a friendly spar. Walking down the busy streets of Konoha, Naruto's eyes still never ceased to move. They were always moving, always watching. Finally, he came to the section of the village that lead to all of the training grounds. After about 10 minutes of walking down a certain path, he found himself arriving at his destination. He looked around for Sasuke and found him about halfway down the field, clothed in his black cloak and suit. He turned around and smiled at his friend who had rescued him. "Naruto," Sasuke said. "I've been waiting for you. Are you ready for our spar?" Naruto simply nodded. Sasuke looked at his friend. How he had changed. Everything from his looks to his very core. Instead of wearing that absolutely hideous orange suit, he wore his black mask and shirt and pants, with his orange sash and shoulder armor with a red cloth on it. Finally, the sword strapped on his back. He had changed so much. It actually worried Sasuke a little bit. "Tell them to come out," Naruto told Sasuke. "What do you mean?" Sasuke asked his friend. "Don't bullshit me, Sasuke," Naruto said. "Tell them to come out. You know I hate it when people try to sneak up on me. Ino, Shikamaru, Hinata, Kiba, tell them to come out." Sighing, Sasuke made a signal and the four-mentioned appeared from the tree line surrounding them. "We are concerned greatly about you, Naruto," Hinata had said to him. "What's causing you to be like this? It's been too long since you've been yourself." "What do you know?" Naruto countered. "Naruto, buddy," Kiba said, "Ino told us everything a few days ago. We want to help you out, man. I mean, we've been friends for years now and that's what friends do, they help each other out. So come on, man. If we are not going to have our spar," Naruto began, "then I'm afraid I've wasted my time. Have a good night, you guys." Naruto turned around and began to walk off, his black scarf and headband flowing in the wind. "Naruto," Sasuke called out. He moved his hair out of the way of his left eye and opened it wide, activating his powers of his Rinnegan. 8 portals opened up around them in a circular type of formation, with about 20 feet of space in between each portal. "I can tell you are stressed out and need to relieve some anger," Sasuke said to his friend, "so here's the type of spar we're gonna have. Closed arena, stay away from the portals. Each one leads to a different dimension and I have no idea which ones they are. No jutsus, just a jutsu. Understood?" When the portals were made, an electrical field surrounded the two of them, forcing Hinata, Ino, Shikamaru, and Kiba out of the way. Every time he and Naruto sparred, it was never a clean fight. Bruises and cuts galore were the outcome every time because they both liked to go past their limits. They would have only gotten in the way and possibly gotten more hurt than in any normal spar. This was Sasuke versus Naruto, it was never a normal spar. "Hi," Naruto said. He was about a couple of feet away from a portal when it formed right in front of him. He turned around and got into a fighting stance and Sasuke did the same. In an instant, they launched themselves at each other and Naruto, immediately, had already gained the upper hand. Combos left and right were dealt to Sasuke, not giving him any breathing room at all. Punch to the face, knee to the gut, a kick to a joint, a headbutt, roundhouse kick to the side of the head. Naruto dished out everything to his friend. Sasuke quickly whipped out a kunai and took a swing at Naruto. Naruto dodged it and drew his own knife from his side pouch on his left leg. Holding it in reverse grip, he jumped up high and came down quickly, ready to impale his friend. Sasuke blocked his friend's attack and followed up with an axe kick that finally connected, sending Naruto straight to the ground so hard that Naruto bounced up a little bit after impact. As Naruto rebounded from the ground, Sasuke grabbed both of his ankles and spun him around a few times and then tossed him away carelessly. Straight into the portal right behind them. "Oh," Sasuke said. Naruto, Ino and Hinata cried out. Kiba and Shikamaru were stunned silent. Was this act intentional? Or was it purely out of instinct in the heat of a battle? They couldn't tell as of right now. All they knew was that their friend was just tossed into a portal that led somewhere they knew nothing about. In his state of shock, Sasuke lost his focus. As a result, all 8 of the portals closed in an instant. Sasuke's eyes widened and yelled out, "No." He frantically tried to reopen the portal that he had accidentally threw Naruto in, but he didn't have enough chakra for it. He had forgotten the amount of chakra it took to just open one, let alone maintain it. And he had done so with 8 at the same time and fought against his friend. Even one with his large amount of chakra reserves, those portals burned him out and fast. He fell to his knees and said to himself, "What have I done?" Chapter 2, Rescue. "Sasuke, what the hell did you do?" Kiba yelled out at the Uchiha. "You sent Naruto somewhere else. Where the hell is he? Answer me, you bastard." Sasuke just looked up at his friends and said, "I don't know what happened, we were just sparring and something just snapped in me. It was like I was fighting in the war all over again." "I don't care, Sasuke," Shikamaru said quietly, his anger getting the best of him. "We need to go report this to Lord Sixth, Kakashi. He has to know about this. Let's go, guys." "But what about Naruto?" Ino yelled out, tears now forming in her eyes. "We can't just leave him wherever he is by himself." "There's nothing we can do, Ino," Shikamaru said to his teammate. "Perhaps Hokage-sama will know what to do. That's why we have to report it, now let's go. Sasuke, you too, come on." Sasuke nodded feebly. He stood up and said to them, "Hang on, I can get us there much faster. I have a kunai there that I can switch places with. If you all hold onto me, we can all be there in a second. Whatever is faster, Shikamaru agreed. Shikamaru, Ino, Kiba and Hinata all joined hands and held on to Sasuke. He opened his left eye, once again activating the power of his Rinnegan. In a split second, they were gone, replaced with a kunai from the Hokage's office. Ah, this damn paperwork, Kakashi Haddock mumbled as he sat down in his chair. He was a little startled when a kunai from the wall disappeared and Sasuke, Shikamaru, Ino, Kiba and Hinata appeared. Okage-sama, Shikamaru said urgently. We have a problem. Leaning forward in his chair and interlocking his fingers in front of his chin, Kakashi went into business mode. Shikamaru hardly ever had that urgent tone in his voice. And when he did, it was really serious. What's the matter, Shikamaru? Kakashi asked. Naruto is gone. Hinata said aloud, eyes wide with concern. Gone? Kakashi asked with an eyebrow raised. You mean he deserted? Why would he do that? Shikamaru shook his head. No, Hokage-sama. He and Sasuke were sparring in a ring of portals and electricity that Sasuke made for them. In the heat of the fight, Sasuke threw Naruto into one of the portal unintentionally. We have no idea where the portal led to. We wanted to go in with him, but the electrical field prevented us from doing so. We need the very best chakra sensors we have, Kakashi said, nodding his head in understanding. Even though it was a simple spar gone horribly wrong, it was just a spar, not a desertion. Which was, in Kakashi's mind, at least a little better. Sasuke, Kakashi said, can you sense any familiar chakras you send into one of the portals? I'm not sure, Sasuke replied. I've never really tried before. It was always in combat and to eliminate my enemies, so I didn't really care where they went. Well, now is as good a time as any to try, Kakashi said. He stood up and snapped his fingers, and 4 Anbu appeared. I need every available sensor in the village in my office within the next 20 minutes, Kakashi ordered. This is a village emergency. Understood. 4 simultaneous replies of "Hi, Hokage-sama" were heard. Oh. The 4 Anbu shushed out of his office, working quickly to accomplish their tasks. Kakashi turned back to Sasuke and said to him, would you be able to lead us to the site of his disappearance? Hi Hokage-sama, Sasuke said. Good. If you don't know where he went exactly, then we're going to need every bit of good intel that we can. Sasuke Uchiha, you are hereby restricted to stay within the village at all times until Naruto is found and recovered. You are our only source to his possible rescue, so we will need you as much as possible, understood? Sasuke nodded. Hi Hokage-sama. Kotal Khan was pacing back and forth in his throne room. He had finally done it. With the help of the Earthrealm team consisting of Cassie, Jakui, Takeda and Kung Jin, they had finally managed to recapture Mileena and her rebel forces. Her forces were wiped out, not too much of a worthy fight was given, knowing that their leader had been detained. Now, Mileena, daughter of Shao Kahn, was the only one remaining of the rebel forces. Enough of your prattle, Mileena said with an attitude. Finish me, so that I may join my father. Kotal Khan sat down on his throne and told her, you do not deserve death by an emperor's hand. Instead, I give the honor to my worthy first minister. He gestured to his side, towards Dvora. Dvora walked towards Mileena, a victorious smirk on her face. She stopped right in front of her nemesis and grabbed her jaw. She was about to lean in for a death kiss and infect Mileena with her thousands upon thousands of insects dwelling inside of her, but before she could, a dark purple and black portal opened up right above her, and someone fell on top of her, hard. Dvora's head hit the ground just right, knocking her out cold. Mileena could only stare in shock at the figure who had landed right on top of her executioner, saving her life, though unintentionally. He was what looked like some sort of ninja, but she couldn't quite tell. The man groaned in pain as he sat up and looked around as if lost and held his head and said to no one in particular, "Oh, my head hurts like hell. Where am I?" Kotal Khan stood up in anger. His longtime foe was about to be eliminated and this fool whoever he was just came in and wrecked everything. You are in the presence of an emperor. Ermac said to Naruto, floating towards him. You will bow to him. Naruto looked at the mummified looking person who was floating a little off of the ground and said, look, I don't know you, but I don't bow to anyone except for Hokage-sama. So back off. Naruto looked back and saw Mileena was restrained, her hands tied tightly behind her back and kneeling on the ground and said, what's wrong with her? It is none of your concern, stranger, Ermac said. Outworld matters do not concern you. Outworld? Naruto asked, now definitely confused. He then got defensive and said, wait a minute, I've heard of Outworld from the Konoha archives. There was a scroll by the Shodaime describing this place, talking about emperors and their greed, hate, and lust for power. Naruto looked at Kotal Khan and said, you must be the emperor then, correct? Kotal Khan looked at the ninja and said to him, you are correct. Now, stand aside. You are interfering with justice. Justice? Naruto said to him. He looked Kotal Khan over and then at Mileena. He saw how she had defeat in her eyes and Kotal Khan's had power hungry written all over them. No matter what this Mileena person has done, no one deserved to die like this, especially not by a tyrant. No, I'm not interfering with justice right now, Naruto disagreed. He held up a smoke bomb and said, now I am. He threw the smoke bomb down hard, instantly filling the entire room with smoke. When the smoke cleared a few minutes later, Mileena and the stranger were gone. Kotal Khan was furious. Find them. He shouted with rage. Kill them both. None of them is still alive past this day. Kotal Khan kneeled next to Dvora as Ermac and his guards exited the throne room to begin their search for Mileena and the new stranger. Shaking her awake, Kotal Khan said to Dvora, wake up Dvora. Mileena has escaped, we need your help. Get up. Dvora shook her head as she sat up and said, what happened? This one was about to kill Mileena when everything went black. Mileena has escaped, assisted by a stranger, Kotal Khan said as he helped his partner up. We must find them before another rebellion should arise. Dvora grit her sharp teeth and said, this one will kill them both for causing the rebellion and the other for taking away my chance at victory. I will kill them slowly. We must find them first, Kotal Khan agreed. He then looked at Cassie and her team and said to them, report to your general. Let her know that we still require your assistance and that Mileena has escaped with help from someone who is still yet unknown to us. Cassie nodded and said to Khan, understood. We'll help you any way we can. We have Shinnok's amulet now as well, so we can use it to find her too. Give me the amulet, Kotal Khan said, holding out his hand. Earthrealm was in charge of protecting it and failed. Now, it is my turn. Cassie was hesitant to hand it over, but then Kotal Khan raised up his fist, a purple energy surrounding it. Cassie and her team were then locked up in a ring made of the same energy. What the hell are you doing? Cassie yelled out. Kotal Khan walked up and took the amulet from Cassie's hand and said to her, the amulet is mine now. Hung Jin tried to step up and said, the Reiko Accords require that. The Reiko Accords no longer concern me, Kotal Khan countered. But you may prove useful when Raiden comes for this, take them away. Cassie and her team were led to a jailing section below. Locked up and their weapons taken, Takeda said, that stranger he just appeared and disappeared with no problem at all. The way he looked, the way he vanished, the sword on his back, he was a ninja, no doubt about it. A ninja? From your guys' Shirairyu clan? Jakui asked him from the other cell across from him. Akita shook his head, no. I would have recognized him if he was. No, he wore a completely different insignia, one I've never seen before. Maybe Master Hanzo would know him. My dad should be with him right now, he normally is. Maybe I can contact my dad telepathically and have him tell my dad what's going on. Can you even reach that far? I mean, you're in an entirely different realm. It's not like you're just a few miles away, Cassie said. Akita can do it, I've seen him do some incredible things, Kung Jin said. I don't know, Jin, Takeda said. Like Cassie said, we are in another realm entirely, I don't know if I can, but it's worth a shot. Hey. Jakui said urgently. Someone's coming. Sit back guys, I got this, Takeda said to his teammates. You sure? Cassie said. Trust me. The guard coming down with bread for the prisoners walked down to the center of the jailing area and looked at everyone. Away from the bars. He said to them. Cassie, Kung Jin, Jakui and Takeda all backed off and sat down on their benches at the end of their cell. The guard threw one piece of bread to each of them. When he got to Takeda's cell, he saw him sitting there with a finger to his head. He was about to ask what was wrong, but then Takeda looked right in the man's eyes and focused all of his telepathic energy on him. The guard felt all 5 of his senses become overwhelmingly sensitive, causing him to black out with a grunt. Takeda got up and swiped the keys from the guard's belt and unlocked his door, then went to unlock everyone else's. What did you do? Jakui asked him, impressed. I overloaded his senses, Takeda replied. Only works at short range. But that being said, the group took off, eager to be free and get back to Earthrealm. You know guys, Takeda said as they were running off, I wonder if that stranger was right about Kotal Khan. You know, about he was basically saying that him and people like him could never be trusted and that anyone under him would be unfairly judged or whatever, and that was why he took Mileena away, saved her. Right after, he double-crossed us and locked us up. So, what if that, along with everything else that we were told about Mileena, was a lie? What if Kotal Khan is actually the bad guy here? It makes sense to me, Kung Jin said as they continued running. That's normally how the bad guys work, get rid of your immediate threat and then take out any witnesses. Looks like we were the witnesses. That guy whoever he was probably just did us a favor. But how do we even find him? Jakui said. Don't worry about it, Takeda said as they ran, if my hunch is correct, I'm sure he'll find us first. Chapter 3. Escape to Wilderness. Naruto and Mileena appeared on the roof of a very tall tower in the distance. The tower was about 10 stories tall. It was meant to be a lookout tower, but had long been abandoned. The tower was still physically stable, able to operate just as well as it was first built, but it looked hundreds of years old. As they appeared on the roof, Mileena was still somewhat dazed. Sure, she had her own teleporting kick attack, but that was only from very short distances. This was on the other side of the town. That, she was definitely not used to. She stumbled a little, but Naruto grabbed her shoulder and stabled her. Her hands were still tied tightly behind her back, but Naruto didn't set her free, just in case his judgment might have been wrong. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked her. "What happened?" Mileena asked. She then looked at Naruto and looked around. Seeing that they were on top of a roof of a tall tower, she began to freak out just a little. "Where have you taken me? Speak, fool. You are in the presence of an empress." Naruto unsheathed his sword and held the point a centimeter from her throat and said to her, "First of all, lady, I don't know you. You look like you needed help, so I helped you out. However, I could have been wrong and you could be a terrible person. Either way, your hands are tied and mine are not. I have a blade, you do not. You be nice, I will too." So, that being said, Naruto sheathed his sword on his back and said, "My name is Naruto, what's yours?" Mileena just stared at him, uncertain. Yes, he had definitely saved her. Although it was unintentional at first when he suddenly fell from some mysterious portal, he then continued and got her out of death's way. She did owe him. The question was, how much? "I am Mileena, Konoha of Outworld, thank you for saving me," she said reluctantly. She hated owing people. "Don't sweat it," Naruto replied. "What did you do to get yourself in that position anyway?" Mileena began to growl and said, "I was trying to get my throne back." She barked at Naruto. "That Ashtek fool, Kotal Khan, overthrew me and stole my crown. My father was the ruler of this land and I was in line. I did rule for a while and then he stole or killed my allies and stole it from me. I am Empress of Outworld, not him." "Whoa, calm down," Naruto said to her. "How did he overthrow you anyway?" "He plotted behind my back," Mileena told him. "Snuck in the back and swayed my followers to his bidding, put them against me. It was so fast, I don't know what happened. I rebelled. Soon after, what little allies I had left were also swayed to his side. He talks with charm, promises and the like." Mileena spat to her side and said, "He will die by my hand, I swear." "Well yeah, then you should definitely be the ruler," Naruto agreed. Mileena looked at him, slightly shocked. "What?" Naruto said. "Your dad was the ruler, it's only natural that you should be next in line. Makes perfect sense. Why is it that he overthrew you anyway?" "I can only guess," Mileena responded after a second. She turned around and was embarrassed to find her cheeks heating up a little and thought to herself, "Why am I feeling like this? He is a lowly human, I am an empress. He did save me, he is helping me, sees my ways, is he on my side as well?" "Whose side are you on?" Mileena asked suddenly, facing him head on. She looked him dead in the eye as she waited for his response. "I am on the good side, the just side," Naruto said to her. "I fight for life, for freedom, for peace, whoever is on that side, then I'm with them. So let me ask you, is that what you fight for? Or are you fighting for your own selfishness, Empress Mileena?" Naruto put a hand on his sword to show her he wasn't messing around. Mileena thought hard about this question. She had never been asked something like this before. At first, she did fight for herself, for her own selfish desire for the crown. Then she looked down and saw everyone. People were being hurt, questioned, persecuted, and even executed on the spot if they didn't cooperate. The Ashtek guards and even some of her old guards, the Tarkatans, killed some of the civilians. In all of this, the civil war, the questionings, the brutality of it all, they were all innocent. One thing that she remembered of her father was that he was an absolutely brutal man to his enemies. For his allies, his followers, and his citizens, he took care of them. That's what she wanted to do. To follow in her father's footsteps. "I fight for them," Mileena concluded. "Look at all of this innocent and the offenders know it but just don't care. I promise, as Empress once again, I will fight for them." "Very well," Naruto said. Lowering his hand from his sword he said to her, "We need to get out of here, out of sight. Do you know anywhere that is safe?" Mileena nodded. "Yes, my secret chambers are about 5 miles from here to the east." "Is that the only place?" "No, there is one more to the south, about 4 miles from here. That it is all there is." "Then those 2 places we are not going to at all," Naruto said. "What?" Mileena said, outraged. "Untie me, you fool. Clearly you have no idea. Do you honestly think that they won't look into those 2 places soon?" Naruto asked her. He turned around and said, "I am a ninja. We are the most notorious fighting force in the world, but not because of our brute force. We can blend in any environment and sneak right past anyone. Only a ninja can defeat a ninja. They will find you if you are alone. They will never find me." "And what makes you so certain that you will never be discovered?" Mileena asked, unconvinced. Naruto just smirked behind his mask and held up his signature hand sign and said, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." There were now 4 Narutos on the roof with Mileena. "I've seen copies of people before," Mileena said with an attitude. "I know they are just illusions." "Nice try, fool." All 4 Narutos walked up and told her at the same time, "All 4 of us are solid clones. See? Her hands touched her shoulders and arms. She was shocked. She had seen people make illusions before, but not actual clones. How did this guy do that? Then, before she could think or say anything else, the real Naruto grabbed her arms from behind her and said in her ear, and not a single one of those four was the real me, and guess what? I can make thousands at will, with no repercussions. I am literally a one-man army. Now, do you believe me? Mileena shocked. This was incredible. She had never seen anything like this before. She slowly nodded her head, definitely believing him now. She also knew that this guy could take her down with no problem whatsoever. She never stood a chance. She would do well to have an ally like this on her side. What do you need me to do? Mileena asked him. Not much, Naruto said to her. Just strip your clothes off. Mileena became very angry then. What did you just say, you fool? Naruto stopped for a second. Perhaps I should have explained the second part, sorry, haha. What I mean is for you to strip yourself of those clothes so you can get new ones. Everyone recognizes you in that type of attire. You need to dress up in more commonly used clothing. I mean if you wanted to strip for my and all, that's cool too you know. Quiet fool, Mileena said, distressed. She couldn't believe this imbecile just suggested that. Her savior or not, she would not tolerate this. However, she did owe him. She sighed and said, so be it. Naruto pulled out a kunai and cut the ropes that were binding her hands tightly and said, so be what? Mileena stepped forward a few steps, massaging her wrists. She sighed once again and reached her hands behind her back and undid the clasps that held her top on. Her bra-like portion of her top fell to the floor of the roof, leaving her shoulder pads still on. She then removed her belt and let her armored pants fall to the floor as well, exposing her perfect rear end, wearing a pink thong. She then reached down and took off her two pink boots and turned around, facing Naruto in only her pink thong, gauntlets on her arms, shoulder pads, and her maskless face showing a seductive smile. How about it, big boy? She said sultrily. I owe you one for saving me, I'm ready to pay up. So, she held up one hand and gestured for him to come to her. Come and get me. Naruto was shocked. This chick just literally stepped in front of him and was offering herself to him. What the hell just happened? He was just trying to protect her and get her in other clothing. When you are being hunted by an army, sex isn't really on your mind at the moment. At least, not his anyways. What are you doing? Naruto asked her incredulously. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're fucking hot, but have you forgotten what our situation is right now? We need to get out of here. And you need to get in here, Mileena said, rubbing her body seductively. Naruto stiffened for a second and then ran at her like a madman. Mileena always did like it rough. That's it, Mileena said, smiling, come to me and get down. Naruto tackled her to the ground just in time as a spear flew right past where Mileena's head was a split second ago. Alright, you win, Naruto told her. You've got a killer body and yeah, I'll make sweet hard love to you, but we need to get the hell out of here, understand? Mileena nodded, face heating up again. She felt his hard and yet soft muscular body all over her. She couldn't help but get turned on at least a little. That, and this was now the second time in less than a day that he had saved her. Naruto took out a kunai and threw it at the Aztec warrior who was a couple of roofs away. The warrior had a pretty good arm and even better aim because they were on the tallest tower and the guard was on the second tallest, which was about 50 feet shorter and 100 feet away. The guy was good, but Naruto was better. The kunai embedded itself hilt deep into the man's skull. He was dead before he hit the floor of the roof. Naruto turned back to Mileena and said, stay right here, you understand? Mileena nodded. This guy clearly knew what he was doing. Good, Naruto said. Have any money for these places? Yes, Mileena responded. In my armored pants, there is a small pouch attached to it with 10 gold coins inside. Good, I'll be needing those. Standing up and walking to the pants, Naruto found the pouch. It fit in the palm of his hand and looking inside he found the 10 coins she told him about. Stay here, Naruto said to her. I'll be right back. Mileena wanted to ask what he was going to do when he stood up and made a hand sign and transformed into a common citizen. She was shocked once again, how can he completely transform into someone else? She definitely needed him as her ally. He wasn't done there. He ran to the edge of the roof and jumped. Mileena was about to yell out at him when she saw him land on the next roof with no problem and then run down the side of the building without falling down, as if he were running on the ground. How is this little human doing all of this? Mileena thought to herself. I am an Edenian and Empress of Outworld and yet I can't do anything that he is. How is this possible? I must find out, I must get closer. Naruto arrived in the streets, in the bustle of all of the markets. He looked like any one of the common people here, brown pants, brown shirt, short black hair, black sandals. Simple, plain, easy to blend and perfect for a ninja's operation. He was searching for a clothing store of some sort, one that sold commoners' clothes, things like he was wearing and robes. Finding things only like food, artifacts, and weapons, he finally found a stall that sold a few clothing items. Walking up, he said to the stall owner, "Hello. What exactly are the prices of these here, sir?" he asked, pointing to a pair of pants, tunic, robe and sandals. The gruffy old lady, slightly shaking in her old age, pointed with a bony finger at the price that was on the sign, hung up next to the stall, saying each piece was 2 gold coins. "Excellent," Naruto said. "May I please have the pants, tunic, robe and the black sandals right there please?" The older woman shakily got the items that Naruto had requested and gave it to him. In exchange, he gave her the full 10 coins, although he only needed to give her 8. The older lady looked at him with a questioning look and he noticed this, saying, "The extra is for being an excellent stall owner. Clearly you have some good quality material here, so I'm giving you a little extra, plus, you're a good person. I think all goodness should be rewarded, so, there you go. Have a good day ma'am," Naruto said as he walked off with the clothes and sandals bundled up in one arm. The old lady smiled at him as she waved. That man had just made her day indeed. It's about time this realm had some good people in it. Tightening her top slightly to make her tits spill out a little more, pulling the strings of her pink thong above her pants line slightly, and she had cut the upper part of her armored pants to where when she wore them, it would expose her thighs. She adjusted her hair as well, making it slightly cover one eye, giving herself a much more seductive look. No matter what they do or who they are, Mileena thought to herself, men are creatures of procreation. Their minds are mostly on mating. If I provide that stimulation he will, eventually become addicted to me. He must stay at my side, no matter what. And, it's not like I won't enjoy it, he is actually worthy to have someone like me. This could turn out better than I think it could. "I'm back," Naruto announced. He saw her new and improved outfit and blushed a little bit. He felt something stirring inside of him but pushed it down. "I like this woman, kid," Kurama thought to Naruto in his mindscape. "Of course you would, you perverted fox." "Ahaha, don't deny it Naruto. I can hear your thoughts, remember? I know you want her just as much as I do. Even so, I'm not a pervert. All males are preverts, kid. The question is, how often are you one? Let's just get this over with and get her out of here, Kurama. We can think about that stuff later." "Alright, whatever you say kid. I'm going to sleep." "Damn fox." Kurama just chuckled a little before he fell asleep. Naruto tossed Mileena the clothes and told her get dressed in those. "We have to move through the crowd, so hurry up. We don't have all day Mileena." "Alright," Mileena said, slightly disappointed. She was expecting him to fall head over heels with her, like every other man had. She didn't know how much that almost worked. Almost. When she had finished, he grabbed and walked down the side of the building, on the back, so no one would see them. When they got to the ground about 10 minutes later, they turned the corner and were instantly in the crowd, blending in with everyone. He was right, Mileena thought. We will never be found in here. Now, what is our next step? First things first, Naruto said to her quietly, we need to get past everyone, quietly. There's no point in having your pride take over and get yourself killed. I would do no such thing you fool, Mileena said to him through her robes. Bullshit, Naruto told her. She looked at him angrily and he told her, Mileena, I can read you like an open book. You would let your anger, hatred and pride control your actions, demand to find Kotal Khan to exact your vengeance and reclaim your throne. In the process, you would at some point be overrun and killed on sight. It's blatantly obvious, Mileena. She opened her mouth to say something in return, but found that she couldn't do so. Everything that he had just said was completely true. She more than likely would have done every one of those things, and yes, now that she really thought about it, she probably would have gotten herself killed. All over her own stupidity. That's not a way that an empress should think or act. You're right, Mileena said to him quietly. I admit that would be the most likely outcome. So what should I do then, since you apparently know the answers to everything? I don't see everything, Naruto corrected. However, I do analyze things much more than most. After all, I am a ninja. It's my job to do those things. Now, what we need to do is get the hell out of here and into the wilderness, out into those woods and mountains we saw out there. From there, we can really formulate some sort of countermeasure to go up against that ugly gray-skinned guy. His name is Kotal, Mileena informed. But now, since he is a false emperor, he goes by Kotal Khan. What's a Khan? Naruto asked her. The title of king of Outworld, Mileena explained. Don't you have a king or ruler wherever you come from? Because clearly you're not from Outworld or Earthrealm. Yeah, Naruto responded as they continued walking through the busy streets. There are 5 rulers, one for each major country, known as Kage, meaning shadow. Ours is called the Hokage, or Fire Shadow. He's our king right now. So you understand what a Khan is then, Mileena said to him. I don't know about your Kages, but the title of Khan or Khanum is normally passed down throughout the family. I was next, but that Ashtek fool took my throne. Whatever happens, he must die. I understand your frustration, Mileena, Naruto said, but if there's one thing I've learned from my ninja career, it's that there's always 2 sides to every story. Before we make any sort of decision as to Kotal Khan's fate, we need his side of the story as well. Why do you need that? Mileena said angrily. Are you already plotting against me? Should I just kill you now? Mileena, you are a terrible ruler, Naruto said plainly. How dare. Are you really telling me that you make all of your decisions based on only what's right in front of your face? Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea at all as to what lies underneath the underneath? What does that even mean? It means that you need every single piece of information possible before you even make a single move, Naruto explained to her. You cannot make a decision based on only what you see right off of the bat, Mileena. And I take it you know exactly what to do then. Of course, Naruto told her. You don't win a great ninja war and fight in countless death matches on missions and come back alive and in one piece and not learn a thing or two about making proper decisions. It is actually extremely rare that when you make a choice judging by what's in front of you, that it's a good choice. And you've been doing that this entire time during your rule honestly, Mileena, it's not hard for me to see how you were overruled. Mileena stopped and grabbed his arm roughly and said quietly, that's it, I'm going to K. If you want to become a better ruler, Mileena, Naruto said, staring at her directly in her eyes, then you need to do exactly what I say, understand? Otherwise, you can kiss your happy ass throne goodbye. Mileena continued to stare at him defiantly. Naruto shook his arm out of Mileena's grip and said to her, fine, but don't come to me when your chance at the throne again finally comes and you have absolutely no clue what to do and you lose it. Probably die in the process too. Nice knowing you, Empress Mileena, and good luck. With that, the hinged Naruto turned around and left. He took 5 steps away before the robed figure of Mileena said, wait. Naruto stopped and waited. Mileena walked up and stopped at his side. She slowly reached out and grabbed his hand with one of hers and quietly said to him, I can't believe I'm saying this Naruto, was it? Naruto nodded slightly, still looking ahead. The crowd was walking around them, paying no attention to them whatsoever. So far, everything that he has done has saved both of them. Clearly, this man knew what the hell he was doing. She had to let go of her pride and actually submit to this man if she wanted any chance in hell in getting her life back. Maybe with him in it too. I need your help Naruto. Will you please help me? Naruto, in his hinged form of a commoner, just smiled and said, of course, Empress Mileena. Now, come with me, the wilderness, our new home for now, is waiting for us. They continued walking through all of the crowds until they got to the gates of the area, separating the wilderness from the villages and the castle that Kotal Khan resided in. It was a large archway, with 4 Ashtek guards in between. Naruto silently made a hand sign, and 4 large roots sprouted from the ground behind the 4 guards. Each one of the roots wrapped themselves around the guards' throats, snapping their necks, and then they dragged the dead bodies under the ground when the roots retreated. The only sign that the guards had even been there in the first place were a few boot prints that were on the ground but were soon blown away in the wind and dust. The gates were unguarded, leaving them able to pass with no resistance. When they passed the gates, Naruto made 4 shadow clones that transformed into the guards and stood in their place, leaving no sign that the real ones were just assassinated by a high-caliber ninja, Naruto Uzumaki. After about an hour after they had entered the wilderness, it had already grown very dark. They were halfway up the mountains, but were still in a very thick part of the forest. Thick and large trees surrounded them for miles on end. Naruto had killed a deer earlier, and it was now skinned and gutted, its meat now roasting over a fire that Naruto had made with a small fire jutsu. Naruto was no longer hinged, but Mileena was wrapped up in her robes and shivering uncontrollably. However, Naruto was fine. He had trained and fought in conditions worse than this. One hasn't been cold as hell until they have been to the land of iron, where the land was always covered with snow. Are you cold Mileena? Naruto asked her. What's I look like? Mileena said, shivering. Sighing, Naruto made a ram sign and blew more fire from his mouth, making the fire bigger. It was a little better for Mileena, but not good enough. Remembering a trick that Yamato did a long time ago, Naruto stood up and walked away about 10 feet. He went through a multitude of hand signs, placed his hands on the ground, and the same large wooden house that Yamato made, Naruto had just replicated. Mileena was shocked. Naruto walked back to her, put out the fire, and grabbed the large stick that the deer meat was roasting on, and gestured for her to follow him inside. 10 minutes later, they were in the center of the house with another fire going to finish the cooking of the meat and to get warm. However, Mileena was still cold. Not as cold as she was a few minutes ago, but still too damn cold. Naruto sighed. Knowing he was going to get an attitude, he said to her, take off your robes and your clothes and come lay with me. My body will heat up yours and you'll be fine. Are you really trying to pull one on me? Mileena asked him. Naruto was a little surprised. He was expecting her to pull a Sakura move, get all pissed off and try to hit him. No, he responded. But if you want that, I'll do that too. Mileena couldn't help but smile a little. She nodded slightly and stood up and began to remove all of her clothing, save for her shoulder pads, mask, and thong. She brought the robes over and they laid down together. Naruto brought the robes over them as a makeshift blanket. He was trying really hard to get a huge boner right now. After all, he did have an extremely hot and naked woman lying on him. Mileena flirted. "You're warm. I wonder what else you can do to warm me up." Naruto couldn't help but smirk through his mask and said, "Sorry, Mileena, but I'm a ninja. I'm really good at self-control. You're gonna have to try a lot harder than that if you want to get what you want." Naruto loved teasing women. They always did it to him and every other man in their sights, why not give it back to them? Hahaha. Apparently, Mileena liked a challenge. She lowered her mask and licked Naruto's neck slowly as she reached one of her hands down. She moved her hand a little bit and, using her other hand, lowered Naruto's mask, revealing his 3 marks on each cheek. "Oh, you're a hot one," she said seductively. She brought her other hand up and held up a couple of her fingers to his nose. Naruto smelled the juices on her fingers, the pheromones were driving him crazy. She had fingered herself a little, and apparently she was very much in heat, her fingers were absolutely coated in her juices, and Naruto loved it. "How about now, big boy?" Mileena said to him. "Wanna warm me up some more?" Naruto's eyes then turned red with black slits and said to her, "Damn right I do." Chapter 4. New information, new allies. Mileena was on top of Naruto, her robes that he had bought for her covering them like a blanket in the cold of the night, and the fire Naruto made for them providing little heat, still cooking the deer meat that was hunted and killed earlier that evening. The light from the flames decorated their covered bodies as Mileena was riding Naruto. Mileena leaned down and kissed Naruto deeply, filling her kiss with passion. Naruto returned her kiss with just as much passion as she did. They didn't mate like wild animals, they made slow love. Mileena was still tired from the day. She may have been Tarkatan and Adenian, but she's still tired out, especially after almost dying twice in one day. She wanted to thank Naruto for saving her life twice that day. She was giving herself to him, but wanted him to feel her passion as well. She was sincere in her feelings towards him, and she wanted to convey that to him. Anyone can have sex like 2 crazy freaks. Not everyone can make real love. That's what Mileena was doing with Naruto, making love. The robes rose and fell slowly as Mileena rose herself up and down on Naruto's shaft, making sure that both of them felt every sensation from their experience. Mileena's eyes were glazed over in pleasure, and Naruto had his jaw clenched and eyes closed, relishing in the feeling of Mileena riding him. Mileena sat up and placed her hands on his chest and lowered herself onto Naruto even more, if that was even possible. She felt his tip kiss the entrance to her womb, and she froze for a second, a sudden and unexpected feeling of overwhelming pleasure washing over her. She slightly rose up and went back down in the same way and once again experienced that insane amount of pleasure when he kissed her womb again. She threw her head back and then really began to ride Naruto hard now. The pleasure she was receiving from riding on top of her savior today was driving her crazy. Her legs began to shake from all the sensations, but she didn't want to stop and so she kept going. Naruto too was also losing his cool. When she sat upright on him, he also felt her womb coming on top of him. He felt her walls tightly constrict, surrounding him in her fleshy walls of pure pleasure. It was driving him insane. "Told you so," Kurama thought to Naruto. "Okay, you win, this girl is amazing." Naruto replied from within. "Ahaha, enjoy Naruto, enjoy." Naruto placed his hands on her hips as Mileena placed both feet on either side of his hips and really began to bounce with force. Her wetness could be clearly heard every time her folds slapped against Naruto's hips, her juices slightly flying around upon impact. Naruto was grunting with extreme pleasure as Mileena began to really cry out, calling for more. Her ascents and descents on him grew faster and stronger, while Naruto's grip on her hips tightened. Naruto couldn't help himself, he smacked her ass. "Oh, hell yeah." Mileena cried out. "Do that again." Naruto smiled to himself and smacked her ass once, twice, 3 times. It was driving Mileena crazy and making her even wetter and hornier, if that was even possible. Mileena was now losing her mind, the sex right now was so good. When Mileena had her ass up in the air and ready to go down again, Naruto stopped her by firmly gripping her hips and began to piston himself in and out of her at a very fast pace. Mileena absolutely loved this feeling, and each time he entered her, again and again and again, his tip even slightly went past her womb, stimulating her entire body. She sat there, squatting and taking every single one of his thrusts into her. Mileena's legs began to shake uncontrollably and she told him, I'm gonna coom. I'm gonna coom, gonna coom, gonna coom, gonna coom. Mileena's eyes rolled into the back of her head and her jaw opened wide as her head was thrown back and her legs shook violently. Her juices sprayed Naruto and landed all over his chest. She rode out her orgasm for at least a minute before she finally told him with an exhausted breath, "Coom inside of me, I want it now. Give it to me. Now." She turned around to where Naruto could see her ass. She reached down and placed him inside of her once again and started riding him with vigor. Naruto smacked her ass as she continued to ride him. He thrusted upwards into her as well, driving them both insane. After about another 5 minutes, Naruto was thrusting much harder and faster inside of her and yelled out, "Mileena, I'm gonna come." Ooh, oh shit. Mileena sat down roughly, not allowing Naruto to move, making sure she got every single inch of him inside of her as he released his seed inside of her. She felt huge wave after wave after wave after wave of his seed splash inside of her. Her eyes once again rolled into the back of her head and her body shook, coming again just from feeling like she was literally being filled up. Naruto grabbed her hips and thrust upwards a few times, unleashing everything that he had inside of her. Her stomach slightly swelled from being filled with all of Naruto's cum, and that made her orgasm that much greater. After about a minute or so of cooming together, Mileena finally lifted herself shakily from Naruto and watched as about half a gallon or so of cum dripped from her and splattered against the floor. She said out loud, yeah, that's what I need. Oh, I'm definitely keeping you around, haha. Naruto's arms fell to his sides as he breathed heavily and said to himself, damn, that was the best sex I've ever had. Damn. Mileena laid down next to Naruto and said to him as she draped an arm over his chest, thank you darling, that was the best for me as well. I need you by my side. Will you stay with me? You need my help, Naruto told her. And I feel better now than I have in a very long time, so apparently I need your help too. Yeah, I'll stay with you, Mileena. Mileena smiled as she smiled and bared her teeth slightly and softly bit Naruto's shoulder, only drawing a little blood. Naruto winced at her and said to her, what the hell was that for Mileena? Mileena smiled as she licked her lips, tasting his blood. She felt so powerful when she consumed it, it drove her crazy. She said to him, I just marked you as mine, darling. Now, no one can claim you, as I already have. You belong to me now, sweetheart. It didn't hurt Naruto, the bite. It was just a little prick. That and the wounds healed immediately. The bite mark, however, remained. Apparently Kurama already had that idea or could tell what Mileena was going to do and allowed this to happen. He wasn't complaining though. In his mind, it was about time someone wanted to do so. Everyone back in Konoha was always so damn flimsy and unfaithful at times, it drove him nuts. Good, Naruto responded with a smile. I'm happy with that. Now, it's my turn. Naruto grabbed her arm and channeled chakra into his teeth, making them into fangs whenever he channels the Kyuubi's chakra. Using his fangs, he bit into her shoulder in much the same way she did to him. When he released her, the Kyuubi's chakra healed her wounds but also left his bite mark on her. Now, Naruto said to her, you belong to me, Empress Mileena. Well then, Mileena said with a smirk, if you belong to me and I to you, then that automatically makes you Khan of Outworld, to rule by my side. We have to dethrone Kotal first though, obviously, Naruto said. He could tell Mileena was about to say something negative about him, but he put a finger to her lips and told her, stop it, Mileena. I understand you have foul feelings towards him because of him dethroning you, but the fact remains the same now as it did then. As of now, Kotal Khan is a better ruler than you. From what I could see, even though it was very little, he did not look like an unreasonable man. After all, it looked like he did have help from someone else, which is a sign of humility, which is very hard for rulers of any type to show. The fact that you do not show it is a singular fact showing how much better ruler than you are. Naruto, how dare. However, Naruto interrupted, notice, darling, that I said as of right now. That does not mean you can't get better, because you will. Then, when you are ready and when the time comes, you will have your throne back. One thing you cannot do, Mileena, is make decisions based on what's in front of you. My old teacher, who is now the Hokage, taught me a lesson, one that I have already mentioned to you. Look underneath the underneath. You must have all information in order to make a proper and decisive move, do you understand? Mileena reluctantly nodded. He held her close and told her, the country I'm from, Konoha, also known as the Land of Fire, is the strongest of the 5 great countries for the very reason I just explained to you. If you follow that same principle and do what I tell you and are willing to learn, you will get your throne back, it's only a matter of time. But remember, all information first, decision second, understand? Mileena again nodded into his chest. He rubbed back affectionately and looked at the deer meat that was almost done cooking and he told her, good, because your training starts tomorrow. I could use some help in some specific training too. I'm having some trouble with an element that I just can't get a hold of. Which elements can you control? Mileena asked him. Do you and your people have these specific abilities? Yes, Naruto answered, but it comes only with extensive training. I've mastered all of my other ones. Earth, fire, wind, water, wood, but I just can't grasp a hold of the lightning element. I can use it, but it's very erratic and uncontrollable, it's more trouble than it's worth as of right now. I may know someone who can help you, Mileena said to him. However, he is considered an enemy towards me right now. Who is this person? Naruto asked. Maybe I can convince him to help the both of us out. His name is Raiden, Mileena said to him. He is a thunder god and protector of Earthrealm. He was allied with those 4 that aided Kotal Khan in my capture. Okay, so if we find them, we can get to Raiden, Naruto deduced. Do you have any idea as to their whereabouts? Why do you want to find Raiden? Mileena asked, curious. I need all the power I can get if I need to fight Kotal Khan, Naruto explained. I can't have any weaknesses. If I do, he will exploit them and defeat me with ease. If I'm going to help you get your throne back, I have to be at my prime, no weaknesses, no restraints. Everything he throws at me, I have to be ready to counter it. And that's with anyone really. I need to master my lightning element and clearly I can't do it alone, I need an expert's help. This Raiden of yours sounds good. So, help me help you. Very well, Mileena submitted. Laying back down on his chest, she used one of her sharpened nails and began to softly draw little circles on his chest. Said, Naruto, I have been abandoned so many times, don't leave me. Don't give up on me. Don't even worry about that ever happening with me, Mileena, Naruto said. He looked at her with a smile and told her, it's my Nindo. Your what? Mileena asked, confused as to what he just said. My Nindo, Naruto said. My ninja way. I never give up. If I set my mind on something or say I'm gonna do something, you can rest assured that it's gonna get done. Trust me. Mileena laid down again and said, okay, I trust you. Mileena felt a little playful and said, so, you and I. What? Naruto asked her. Mileena smiled and climbed back on top of him and said, round 2. Naruto smirked and flipped her over. With a yelp of surprise, Mileena was on her back with Naruto on top and he said, and round 3, and 4, and 5, and on and on. Mileena laughed. For another couple of hours, they made love as the deer meat burned over the fire, the light from the flames continuing to shine across the robes. 2 days later, Mom, we need an exfil out of Outworld, Cassie said through her phone, talking to her mother General Sonya Blade. What's the status, Sergeant Cage? Sonya said in her bossy bitch attitude. Kotal Khan double-crossed us, had us locked up, Cassie reported. Thanks to Takeda we got out, but now we are on the run. We need exfil and fast. What happened with Kotal Khan? Why did he lock you up? He has the amulet, Cassie said. He stole it right before he locked us up. There was no way we could get it back. Damn it, Sergeant. You had one task: assist Kotal Khan in his war against Mileena and return with the amulet that was stolen. At least tell me that you all had Mileena killed. She escaped, Cassie said. Someone just literally dropped in and got her out of there. She's on the run, and Kotal Khan's forces are searching for her at every hour during the day and night. She'll be found. Your mission is not complete, Sonya said to her daughter, therefore, your objective is ongoing. Until your mission is complete, until you have both the amulet and Mileena is dead, you are not granted exfil. Get it done, Sergeant. Blade out. Click. Cassie couldn't believe it. Her mother had just left them stranded in Outworld with not even so much as a restock of supplies. What's going on? Jackie asked her friend. Mom's on her period again, Cassie said. What happened this time? Takeda asked her. No exfil for us guys, Cassie reported to them. Our orders are to continue our mission until it's complete. Kill Mileena, obtain the amulet from Kotal Khan. Other than that, we don't have shit. What the hell is wrong with her? Kung Jin said. Doesn't she know that we are by ourselves out here? Us against all of Outworld. Yeah, I'm sure she does, Cassie replied. And I'm also sure that she just doesn't give a damn. Ugh, alright you guys, weapons check, gear check, and supply check. Let's get it done. They all searched and inspected their weapons and gear. Left with very little to no food and no water, they didn't look too good in their given situation. Looks like you guys need some help. They all turned around and found no one. Who said that? Kung Jin called out. Me, the voice said again. They all looked around and still saw no one. Then, the voice of Naruto spoke in the open once again, and a mist started to appear around them, thicker than they had ever seen. Heart, brain, liver, lungs, kidneys, stomach, jugular, spine, Naruto said slowly. 8 spots to choose from to kill you in a single blow, we each one. Come out and face me. Kung Jin said aloud. Before he knew it, he was taken down, hands and feet bound and gagged within seconds. Jin. Takeda called out. He raised his hand to his temple to get a reading on whoever it was, and he finally got it, but was a second too late. As he turned around to face whoever it was, he met the same fate as Kung Jin, tightly bound and gagged. Fuck me. Cassie yelled out. Don't mind if I do, the voice said from right behind her. In 4 seconds, she met the same fate, also tightly bound and gagged. Damn it. Jackie yelled out. Arming her cannons on her arms, she frantically and randomly shot plasma shots all over the place, hoping for at least one shot to hit whoever it was that was attacking. Before she could make another move, she felt 2 strong hands grab her ankles and heard, Rift style. Headhunter Jutsu. Wah, Jackie yelled right before she was pulled into the ground with only her head and tops of her shoulders sticking out. She heard the person, whoever it was, walk a few feet in front of them and stop. There was an unbearable silence before Jackie started to call out for her friends as she struggled to break free from her earthen prison. Cassie? Jackie yelled. Takeda. Jin. You guys hear me, where are you? She only got muffled responses in return. Hi. The mist suddenly vanished and the warming sunlight returned as if nothing had even happened. Jackie looked around and saw her teammates bound and gagged tightly, a few feet apart in a line to her right. Suddenly, the same figure that appeared a couple of days ago and saved Mileena reappeared right in front of them from nothingness. Well, hello there, Naruto greeted the four who were bound or trapped. What the hell is your problem? Jackie yelled at Naruto. First you rescue Mileena and then you attack us, what's the deal? First of all, I didn't attack you, Naruto pointed out. His black mask covering his face also hid his humorous smirk. These were way too easy for him. I just showed you that if I really wanted to take you out, I could with no problem. He walked forward a little and sat down in front of Jackie and told her, listen, you guys don't look stupid. I've seen a lot of stupid people, I've seen a lot of smart people, and I've seen everything else in between. I know you're not stupid, so don't play stupid, okay? Let's just get that out of the way and everything will go so much smoother for the both of us. Jackie spit in his face, or rather, tried to. But due to his nimble reflexes, he dodged it just in time. However, Naruto did not like that at all. He slapped her in the face, hard. Smack. Jackie's head snapped to the side from the force and she was stunned, hearing nothing but a high-pitched ringing. That blow had really hurt her. Let's try this again, Naruto said in an irritated manner. Let's not have you guys play stupid. Did you get that? I really don't have time to play right now and you guys need some medical attention and food and water, so neither one of us are really having the time of our lives here, so just cooperate and everything will be just fine. All I need is a little bit of information. Give it to me and I'll even help you guys out. However, I have no patience at all for stupid people, so don't fucking test me, understand? He yelled, pointing a threatening finger in Jackie's face. Jackie could only nod in response. Cassie was glaring daggers at Naruto for hitting her friend. Naruto noticed this and ripped the gag from her mouth and said to her, what? If you're gonna say something, then say it. I'm gonna kill you bastard, Cassie said to him. Is that right? Naruto told her. Listen, if you guys are going to act like little kids, then I'm just gonna tie and gag you all and leave you out here for the animals. I don't have time for this. He put the gag back in Cassie's mouth and produced another one to put in Jackie's. As he kneeled down to gag her, Jackie said, wait. Naruto stopped and said to her, oh, is someone deciding to finally mature right now? What do you want from us? Jackie asked him. Like I said just a minute ago, information. That's it. In return, I'll help you guys out. I don't know why you guys are throwing such a fit over this. Akita tried softly speaking through his gag, but of course no one could understand him. Naruto walked over and said out loud to no one in particular, well, at least someone knows how to speak politely. Here, let me get that for you. Naruto removed the gag from Takita's mouth and kneeled in front of him and said, now, what was that you were trying to say? I said that you attacked us first, that's why we retaliated, Takita said to him. Again, I did not attack, I restrained, Naruto explained. Do you really think that if I just let you see me that you wouldn't attack me first? Takita thought about it for a second and said, I see your point. Okay, so what's the deal then? Naruto sighed and said, for the third time now, I need information, and you guys need help. You give me what I need, I help you get what you need. That's it. Is it really that hard? Naruto removed the gags from Cassie's and Jin's mouth and said, now, how about we all go about this like adults? Like I said, you help me, I help you. I will not attack you unless you attack me first. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto made 10 clones. One of you release their binds, the rest of you fan out and secure the perimeter. Hi. The 10 clones said. 9 clones disappeared and the 10th went behind Cassie, Jin, and Takita, cutting the ropes that bound their hands and feet. After that was done, the 10th and final clone disappeared to secure the perimeter as well. The real Naruto went in front of Jackie again and held up a hand in the ram sign and said, Kai. The earth surrounding Jackie's body became soft and she was able to climb out a little. Naruto held out his hand and pulled her out. The second she was out, the earth that she was trapped in hardened again. Dusting herself off, she put her hands on her hips and said, thanks. Now, what do you want to know? Jackie? Jin yelled at her. Don't tell him in it. Jin was hit in the face by Cassie and said to him, shut up Jin. Can't you see that this guy, whoever he is, can take us all out with no problem at all? What the fuck shit are you doing? Shut up. Jin just rubbed his jaw as he glared at Cassie. Sorry about that, Naruto responded. Right, sorry about that Naruto. He clearly needs manners. I'm Sergeant Cassandra Cage. This is my team, Specialist Jacqueline Briggs, Takita Takahashi, and Kung Jin. It's a pleasure to meet you. It was hard for Cassie to do that, but like she had just told Jin, this guy could wipe them out easily. All he had really asked for was for them to be polite. That, and to give them whatever info that he needed and he would help them in return. Being polite was not a very big price to pay. Her pride just didn't want her to do it. To be humiliated in such a way, without even a fight, was embarrassing to her. "Thank you," Naruto said. "It's about time someone is polite around here. Too many damn people who don't even know what that even means now. Anyways, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Now that we have introduced each other, let's get down to business. Firstly, where is Raiden? I know you guys are allied with him." Cassie looked at her teammates before she answered, saying, "He should be back in Earthrealm. I need his help in some lightning training," Naruto said. "Could you be able to reach him?" "And no, not directly, anyway. I have to contact my mother first and she gets a hold of him." "Why? Why do you need help in your lightning training? What are you talking about?" Making a few hand signs, Naruto performed an incomplete version of the Chidori. The lightning chakra would fly about erratically and uncontrolled. Cassie's eyes went wide, as well as everyone else's. "You can use lightning, just like Raiden," Cassie exclaimed. "I don't think so," Naruto said as he released the jutsu. He looked at the four of them and said seriously, "I needed to take down Kotal Khan to restore Mileena to her throne." The four from Earthrealm instantly got into battle stances and Jin shouted out, "You're against us. What are you plotting?" "Man," Naruto said, rubbing one of his ears, "your voice is so annoying. Do you ever shut up?" Dakui couldn't help but smirk at that little jibe, regardless of their situation at the moment. "Before you guys get all worked up, do you even have all of the facts?" Naruto asked. "Facts about what?" Cassie said, still not letting her guard down. "About Mileena," Naruto continued, "and about Kotal Khan. Do you know everything? Do you have as much as you can possibly get? Or are you just acting based off what's in front of you and what you're being told?" "General Blade told us that," Jin began, but Naruto cut him off saying, "And what if this general of yours didn't give you all of the information you really need? What then? What if you make an improper decision based off of what little information you're given? Because clearly, judging by what I know so far, which is more than what you guys have, I'm sure, you all were making the wrong move." Nikita said to him, "Hey, Naruto, was it? I have an ability to read minds. Would it be alright with you if I go inside and see what information you have?" "I want whatever info you guys have first," Naruto said to him. "And besides, I don't think going inside my head is a very good idea." "Okay, well what do you want to know?" Jakui asked him. "What exactly do you know of Kotal Khan?" Naruto inquired. He's the emperor of Outworld and he's in a civil war against Mileena," Cassie answered him. "And?" Naruto continued. "And what?" Cassie said. "Are you kidding me?" Naruto said aloud. "How the hell are you guys going on missions with so little information? Kotal Khan is a false emperor, he stole the amulet, he has a huge army that you haven't even seen yet, he stole the throne to unite all of Outworld, he abides by the Ryoku Accords, whatever that is, and that's just off of the top of my head. And you're telling me that's all you guys know?" Naruto asked them. "General Blade gave us mission to accomplish," Jin said stubbornly. "And that mission is?" Naruto asked. "To kill Mileena and retrieve the amulet," Takeda answered. "Do you mind if I enter your mind now?" "Alright, but I warn you, you'll be in for quite a surprise," Naruto warned. "If he is going to try and attack me mentally, he's going to find out the hard way that no one can do that to me. Too many defenses, not to mention the fox," Naruto thought to himself. Takeda nodded in acceptance and closed his eyes. He put a couple of fingers to his head and reached out to enter Naruto's mind. Once he got inside, he surprisingly found no kind of mental defenses, like most other people did. Luckily for Takeda, Kurama had decided to see what this kid would try and do. And if tried anything, well, he was gonna be Kurama's lunch for today. Takeda read everything about Naruto's past and his experiences. He read about all of the power that he currently possessed. He read about all of the information that he had gained from his reconnaissance on Kotal Khan, and he realized that they were completely in the wrong when it came to Mileena. She was actually not a bad ruler, just an impulsive one. With the proper training, she could be even better than Kotal Khan. Then he read about the hot night that Naruto and Mileena had a couple of days ago and couldn't help but blush a little and thought, damn. Lucky man. Well, it's good to make your acquaintance. Akita turned around, fearing the worst. Sure enough, it was what he saw in Naruto's memories. The nine-tailed fox, Kurama, the lord of the Biju, the lord of the demons. Akita's eyes widened and said, "Ahai." Kurama leaned forward so close to where his muzzle was just a few inches away from Takeda and let out a large breath, slightly growling. The rumble from the growl seemed to shake the entire mindscape. Takeda felt the hot air from the creature's breath wash over him. He slightly shook in fear, but then his ninja training with Scorpion kicked in and he stopped shaking. "So you have ninja training as well, don't you? I can tell not many have your discipline. Now who trained you?" "My master's name is Hanzo Hasashi, but he's also known as Scorpion." "Ah, Scorpion, I have not seen him in a long time." "Wait, you know Scorpion?" "Indeed I do." "How the hell do you know him?" "Watch your attitude, child. I am a Biju, thousands of years old, one such as me does not go throughout the world and not meet a few people here and there. Tell me, do you know of the Rakuto Sennin? Master Hanzo mentioned him a couple of times before during the history portions of our training. He said something about the nation of elements. The elemental nations, yes. That is where Hanzo met me. At the time, Hanzo was he was being controlled. By whom, I do not know. But he saw me, and we fought. He had invaded my mountain range that I called home with a demonic army. He was the last one and refused to go down. He earned my respect that day. I allowed him to retreat with his honor intact. That was only about 30 years ago or so. It is good to see that he has trained someone with the same principles that he lives by. Akita felt a little honored, he felt compelled to bow. He bowed at the waist and said, on behalf of my master, I thank you for your compliments. Everything that you have just discovered is true. Rulers are corrupted here, or inexperienced. Mileena would be an excellent Khanum, but she lacks the experience and training and patience. This Kotal Khan is much the same way, but he at least sees the wisdom and seeking allies against his enemies. Naruto knows exactly what he is doing. If you and team wish to survive and accomplish your mission, it would be in your best interest to aid Naruto and help him find this Raiden of yours. The sooner you do that, then everything will balance itself out. Now, get out of here and report this to your team. Thank you, Kyuubi-sama, Takeda said in the mindscape as he bowed. He faded out of the mindscape. 15 minutes later, Akita had just finished explaining everything that he had just discovered to his team. Everything, from his past and about who Naruto is, where he's from, and even the 9 tails, all the way to the information he had gained compared to the little speck of information they had, and had concluded that they did indeed almost make the wrong move by killing Mileena. She really was the rightful heir to the throne, and Kotal Khan had wrongfully overthrown her to take the throne for himself. Even though he was a much better ruler, as of now anyway, he still had taken it wrongfully. There needs to be some equal sort of compromise, Takeda concluded. Mileena needs to be put back on the throne, and Kotal Khan needs to realize that even though he wants the throne that it's not his by birthright, even though Mileena was not born, she was created, she's still the child of Shao Kahn. That alone makes her the rightful heir. Okay, we understand now, Cassie said to Naruto. We will do our best to get you to Raiden, but we need your help first. We are starving and need rest. Can you help us out? I can, Mileena said, walking out from her hiding spot. She had been told by Naruto to stand out and watch the event as he took care of it and not to come out unless they had agreed to aid them. Since they had a few moments ago, she no point in hiding anymore. Mileena. Cassie said. She was about to attack when she was stopped by Takeda, who said to her, remember what we just found out. This whole Outworld's throne thing is just a huge siblings type of argument as to who gets what. Now that we know that Mileena is the rightful heir, she is no longer the enemy. Chill out, okay? Cassie nodded in response and relaxed. Mileena walked up to them and said, it's good to know that some people are on my side and can see clearly. Thank you, Naruto. Naruto waved it off and said, don't mention it. Now, let's get these guys to our hideout and get them some food and water. Mileena nodded and said to them, follow me. They all followed Mileena out of the area and towards the direction of Mileena's and Naruto's makeshift home for some much needed rest and to refuel. They had to cross a huge expansion of forest in order to get where they were going. It was the little house that Naruto had made when he had first escorted Mileena out. He had been hunting quite often and found plenty of water, as well as making his own with his water jutsus. For a temporary settlement, they were set. And the wooden house was large enough to where they would have more than enough room have them over as well. When they arrived outside of the house, Naruto suddenly said, stop. Everyone stopped and turned back to look at him, and he closed his eyes for a moment. About a minute later he opened his eyes, revealing that they had a toad-like iris in the middle of them and orange markings around his eyes. He pulled out a kunai and launched it at a random spot in the trees with extreme speed and force. A loud squelch was heard as well as a loud yelp of pain in a raspy voice. The figure, who was invisible but the outline of the form was becoming more and more visible, fell from the tree branch that it was on and fell to the ground none too softly. Naruto made a few hand signs and said, Earth style. Earth prison. A huge slab of dirt, mud, and rock that whoever it was laying on slowly rose to a 90-degree angle, and slabs of mud encased the creature's arms, waist, and legs and then hardened, ensuring that the person would not escape. A little bit of dark green blood was smeared on the rock that was standing up like a wall. Slowly, the invisible figure appeared. Naruto walked forward and drew his katana from the sheath on his back and pointed it right at the creature's throat and said, Speak or die, who are you? Mileena growled and said to Naruto, I know who that is, Naruto. Naruto, without looking back, said, well, who is it? Should I kill him now or will have information? Mileena didn't answer right away, she was too angry. She pulled out her sei and said, Reptile, you filthy traitorous beast. Chapter 5. Call off the search. Reptile, you filthy traitorous beast. Mileena snarled at the Zaterran creature. Why are you here? Naruto asked the one now called Reptile. His eyes, showing that he was still in sage mode, bore into Reptile's slit at once. "I will say nothing." Reptile said defiantly. "Good," Naruto told him. "Ma always wanted a snakeskin purse." Naruto looked over his body and said, "Looks like you have just enough skin for it, too." "What are you doing?" Mileena asked him. "Unless he talks," Naruto responded, "I'm going to skin this little spy alive and, like I said, make a snakeskin purse." Naruto pulled out a kunai and held it up to Reptile's eye and said, "Last chance, lizard boy. Talk, or you will know what it feels like to be skinned alive." Reptile eyed Naruto carefully. Reptile didn't survive a war and several tournaments and not learn how to read people. Clearly, this Naruto, whoever he was, he would stand behind what he said and literally skin him alive. To hell with whatever Kotal Khan said, he couldn't let his race die out because of a poor decision. "I am a scout," Reptile finally said. "No shit," Cassie said to him. "We ask you what are you doing and why?" "I was sent by Kotal Khan to search for and possibly kill Mileena," he answered, looking at Naruto. "How dare you?" Mileena yelled out. "You and the others betrayed me. Your fault was your own," Reptile countered. He was then hit in the face hard. Whack. Reptile's face snapped to one side from the blow. That sage-powered hit really hurt. Reptile spit out a little blood and teeth. He growled at Naruto, who pushed Reptile's chin up with the tip of the kunai in his hand. "Where is Kotal Khan now?" Naruto asked calmly, although his eyes showed unrivaled fury, which looked even scarier now that they had a toad-like iris. Furious was beatable, furious and calm was not. Reptile had to be very careful. "I will not betray my master's position," Reptile said. Naruto slashed diagonally across Reptile's chest, making a huge and deep gash that spilled blood profusely. "You betrayed me, you pathetic little lizard." Mileena yelled out. She drew out her sei and walked forward towards Reptile, intent on killing him. Naruto held out his arm horizontally, effectively stopping her in her tracks. Reptile leaned forward, breathing hard. He was losing blood fast from the deep cut that he had just received, courtesy of Naruto. The sage punched Reptile in the face, breaking his jaw. He then turned around and performed a few hand signs and yelled out, "Kai." The large wooden house he had created fell to pieces, dust and dirt flying everywhere, clouding everyone's vision for a few moments. "Clearly, you have no idea who or what you are up against," Naruto told Reptile. He turned around and performed a few hand signs and yelled out with righteous fury, "Sage Art. Giant Fireball Jutsu." He blew into his cupped hand and a huge fireball the size of a 5-story building formed and stayed in the spot it was formed in. Naruto had managed to control his chakra much better as well and had found that instead of launching any fireball right away, holding it in place for a few seconds dramatically increased the velocity of the jutsu. And that's what he was doing right now, holding the giant building-sized fireball right there, in front of everyone. Jakui, Cassie, Takeda, Kungjin, Mileena and especially Reptile stood there wide-eyed and in total shock of what they were witnessing right now. Naruto performed a few more hand signs and thrust both hands forward, saying, "Sage Art. Giant Rasengan." He formed the giant Rasengan within the huge fireball. Now, it was a Rasengan that had a huge and incredibly dense fire coating on it. Naruto thrust his hands forward a little more, launching the fire-covered Rasengan at the remains of the wooden house and surrounding forest. The result was everything in front of them was completely burned and obliterated. Smoke and dust covered the entire area. It was a few minutes before everyone was able to see clearly once again. Reptile's eyes were filled with fear and awe. He had no doubt that if this man fought his master would definitely not win, let alone survive. Naruto released the earth jutsu that bound Reptile and the Zateran fell to the ground in a heap. He had lost a lot of blood to effectively fight back. "You saw for yourself, Reptile," Naruto spoke to him, "you just saw one of the very many things that I can do. Go to your master, Kotal Khan, and tell him to call off the search. I am a reasonable person, he has 3 hours to make a decision. If he does not comply, I will find you and I will skin you alive. This is your one chance, understood? This is in exchange for your life. Fail, and we will resume where we left off." "Why are you letting him go?" Mileena yelled out in protest. "He is going to give away our position." "No he's not," Naruto told her calmly. "And why not?" Kungjin asked Naruto. "You gotta admit, Mileena does have a point. Why return Reptile to his master? Why give them a fighting chance? Don't forget," Naruto told him, "no one has all the information yet. And besides," Naruto looked at the Zateran who was struggling to get up and said, "He knows that if he fucks up, he will die, either by Kotal Khan's hand or by mine. He doesn't have a choice. And as far as our position, well, that's why we keep moving. Never stay in one spot. I already know where Kotal Khan is. Then why aren't we attacking him?" Mileena protested. "Enough." Naruto yelled at her. He pulled out his sword from his sheath on his back and pointed it right at her nose in an instant. Mileena was wide-eyed, not expecting that. "What do you see, Mileena?" Naruto asked her angrily. "A sword," she said. "Wrong. How many times do I have to tell you?" Stop just looking at what's right in front of you. Damn, killing you would be so easy. Mileena stared at him angrily as he sheathed his sword. He looked again at Reptile and yelled out, "Why are you still here?" Reptile stood up shakily and ran off back to his master's camp. Naruto turned around and began walking off. He stopped and looked behind him and told the rest of them, "Well, you coming or not?" Cassie and her team looked at each other and shrugged. Seeing that he was their best chance at survival right now, they began trailing behind him. Mileena couldn't help but feel at least a little bad for angering Naruto like that. He was right, she had been stupid again, and he had told her several times to be more perceptive. She could understand why he was irritated. She would have been too. She soon followed behind Naruto as well as they traveled further along through the thick forest in the mountains. Kotal Khan, Reptile said, kneeling before his master, still winded. We must call off the search for Mileena." Tilted his head a little at this strange behavior from one of his top generals, Kotal Khan said, "And why is that, Reptile? Have you found her?" "I did, my lord," Reptile responded. "She was accompanying the four from Earthrealm and the strange one that had rescued her." "Where were they and how come you are wounded? Was it from Mileena?" Kotal Khan asked. He was concerned. Reptile never failed a mission ever, no matter what it was. The fact that he had this time and came back severely wounded greatly concerned him indeed. "No my lord," Reptile said. "It was the one who had rescued her. He is called Naruto. He spared my life in return for me to give you this message." Reptile grit his reptilian teeth in pain, clutching his chest, still trying to stop the bleeding, but to no avail. He had lost a lot of blood and was on the brink of death. He wants you to call off the search for Mileena," Reptile barely managed to get out before he passed out. Kotal Khan wanted to get him medical attention before he gave his message, but Reptile was persistent on telling him what he had found out. Reluctantly, he had agreed. Now, he was close to losing Reptile. "Summon a doctor," Kotal Khan said calmly, yet with absolute authority. "And hurry." An Aztec guard bowed slightly and left quickly. A few minutes later, the guard and two Aztec doctors ran in with a stretcher and carefully picked up Reptile and placed him on the stretcher and left in a hurry to their makeshift hospital for the time being. Kotal Khan shook his head a little bit, feeling slightly dizzy. Dvora walked up to him and said, "What did my emperor see?" Kotal Khan looked at her calmly and said, "A cub grown to be a jaguar." He looked ahead, staring blankly and then called out to all of his guards in attendance and said, "Call off the search for Mileena." "What is my emperor doing?" Dvora protested. "We need to find Dvora." Reptile was severely wounded, Kotal Khan said to her. "He never fails any mission that he is given. He returned to us, and even so, he may not survive. It is clear that we are dealing with a foe who is not normal by any means. We must be careful and formulate a new plan. We must contact Earthrealm, see if they had sent this newcomer. The woman will have most likely contacted her general," Aaron Black said, leaning on the wall. He stepped forward and walked up to him and said, "That's normally how things work with the Earthrealm military. If something goes wrong or changes, the higher-ups are notified immediately. I would advise contacting Earthrealm. At least for now, anyway." Kotal Khan said, holding his chin in thought. "Perhaps you are correct. In that case, do you have any other ideas?" Aaron. Dvora. Kotal Khan believed that a united Outworld stood strong, which meant not making every decision on his own, hence why he had his advisors, Aaron Black, Dvora and Reptile. They were also his top generals for his armies. He also had Ermac, Farah and Tor, but they were mainly his secondary generals. A chain of command was necessary for a successful kingdom. Pride was an enemy to a king, no matter where he was or what the title was, whether it be Khan, Cage, King, Lord. Pride was the enemy. He had to realize that he could not make every decision wisely. He needed help sometimes. Now was one of those times. "I'd say call off the search, at least the main part," Aaron Black said. "Have the main forces back here, but send out recon patrols out to search for her, undercover. Search covertly." "This one agrees with Black," Dvora said. "Calling off the search completely would be unwise." "Perhaps you are right," Kotal Khan said. "Very well. You two," Kotal Khan pointed at the two guards standing next to his throne and they stood to attention, "go and summon Ermac. Inform him to find me immediately." "Yes, sir." The two guards said simultaneously and left in a hurry. Kotal Khan walked towards his throne and sat down. He leaned to one side and held his chin with one hand and said, "Naruto, who are you?" It was well past night time when Naruto finally made another wooden house for them, higher up in the mountains this time. It was much colder and the wind was much more brutal. It was snowing a little but was picking up quickly, showing signs of a snowstorm coming soon. They had walked inside and Naruto immediately made a large but contained fire with a fire jutsu. They all sat down around the fire as Naruto said, "I'm going to go find us food. Wait here, I won't be long. Warm up and chat among yourselves, get to know each other. We'll be here for a while, there's a snowstorm coming in soon. Later." Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, gone a second later. I swear that's just like the stories you hear in cartoons and stuff, Jackie said aloud. What is? Takeda said. Ninjas disappearing like that, Jackie responded. Wielding magic, turning invisible, you know, all that magical stuff. But the reveal of Outworld and other realms, Kung Jin said, are you really that surprised? Excuse me, but did you not see that big-ass fireball he shot out? From his hands. Jackie said to Jin. Yeah I did, Jin said to her. But we see stuff like that all the time, don't we Takeda? Shut up Jin, Takeda said to him. Stop letting your pride get in the way and just admit the damn truth, we all know he would beat us in a fight. He would kill you all, Mileena said abruptly. Ah, so the former empress talks at last, Cassie said to her. Watch your tongue, Earthrealmer, Mileena said back. Wow, you look dangerous, Cassie said sarcastically. And pretty, like you, Mileena said with just as much sarcasm. Your face could use a boot print, Cassie retorted. Okay that's enough from you two, Jackie said just in time. Mileena was about to get up and impale the woman. Jackie looked at her friend and told her, you need to chill out. Remember what was his name again? Naruto, Mileena said, not looking at anyone. Yeah, Naruto, Jackie continued. He said for us to get along. I don't know about the rest of you, but I could also tell we are going to be snowed in big time, so get used to seeing each other's faces for a little while. Easy for you to say, Jin said. You guys don't have to deal with a bunch of incompetent people who have no idea what the hell they're doing. Shut up Jin. Cassie said. What? Jin said to her. It's not our fault we have a teammate who had a revenant for a dad. Asshole. Jackie said in anger. Suddenly, Jin felt something hook onto the back of his outfit and become taut. Next thing he knew, he went up all the way to the roof and Naruto came down at the same time. Naruto had hooked some ninja wire onto the back of Jin's shirt and jumped down. As he went down, Naruto's weight pulled Jin up. Naruto tied the other end of his ninja wire through the loop of one of his kunai and stuck it in the wooden floor. Jin, outraged, yelled out, hey. Let me down you. Shut up, Naruto said, irritated at him, or I'll leave you there the whole night. Understood. Jin, although reluctantly, nodded. Good, now then, Naruto sat down in Jin's place and said to everyone, sorry about that little interruption, but I won't have anyone disrespecting someone's parents unless they deserve it. From Jackie's reaction, her father didn't deserve that. Wait a minute, Cassie said to him, weren't you out getting food for us? Yeah, about that, Naruto said, I already have some ready to go. I was hiding on the ceiling, watching you guys, seeing how this would play out. So far, it's not as bad as it thought it would be, so that's good. You lied to us, Jackie said to him. Not cool. I don't know any of you, Naruto said. Of course I lied. Deception is a ninja's greatest weapon. I simply used it. Now, onto the real deal. Naruto pulled out a storage scroll and unfurled it. He said, Kai. And eat, fruits, vegetables, and some loaves of bread appeared before them all. Well, dig in. Naruto announced to them all. He pulled out a kunai and cut the meat evenly and gave some to them all, saving Jin's share to the side. Hey. Jin announced none too politely. Let me down. Say it correctly, Naruto said as he pulled down his mask and bit into an apple. Jin shut his eyes hard and breathed in a deep breath and said calmly, can you please let me down? Sure. Naruto said. He threw a kunai behind him, cutting the ninja wire that was tied onto the kunai that was stuck in the floor. The wire cut, Jin fell down in a heap onto the floor a few feet behind them all, rubbing his back and said, ow. What the hell man? Naruto said to him without turning around, you really need to learn some proper manners, Jin. Otherwise, when the time comes for your team to help you, and trust me, it will come they won't be there. Everything you give out is returned. Make sure you give out the right stuff, understand? Jin stopped and soaked in what Naruto had just told him. He nodded and sat with the rest of the group and said to Naruto, hey, Naruto thanks for the food. Don't worry about it, Naruto replied. Okay, I'm sorry, Jackie said to him, but how the hell did you just get all this food from a piece of paper? Naruto looked at her and smiled. Magic. Just then, a black and purplish whirlwind shape appeared behind them, about 10 feet away. The Earthrealmers and Mileena got up and backed away a little, ready for a fight. From the portal, Sasuke, Ino, Hinata, Shikamaru and Kiba jumped out along with the 6th Hokage, Kakashi himself. Well, it's about damn time, Naruto said to them. Chapter 6, Getting Caught Up. Hey there Naruto, Kakashi said with his eye smile. He wore his Anbu outfit without the mask, just in case he needed to go into a huge battle. After all, they had no idea if they were going into a huge war or not. It's always to be prepared for the worst. It's good to see you again. Hey there Kakashi-sensei, Naruto greeted. He looked at Kiba, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Ino, and Hinata. Hey guys, you came too. Of course we did Naruto, Kiba said proudly. He was happy to be able to help find his friend. You just kinda disappeared without a trace when you went through that portal. Sasuke boy here opened portal after portal to try and find your chakra signature. It was a combination effort of his portals, Ino's mind tricks, and Hinata's Byakugan that finally located you here. My nose helped too, of course. No matter how many baths or showers you take, you always stink of toads and ramen. You smell terrible, man. Ahahaha, good one Kiba, Naruto laughed. Naruto looked at Sasuke and held out his fist and said to him, thanks for not giving up on me. There's not many people in that damn village that I can count on. I'm glad you're one of them. Sasuke smiled as he bumped fists with his friendly toad sage. Sorry about that little throw, dope, Sasuke told him. Don't even worry about it, Naruto told him. He pointed back at the Earthrealm team and Mileena and told them, just so you know Kakashi-sensei, these guys could use our help. In short, there's a realm civil war or something like that going on here. We are in a place called Outworld. What is Outworld? Ino asked Naruto. Shikamaru answered her, saying, according to the archives in the Konoha library, the scrolls written by the Shadame and Nidame explain that this Outworld is one of several realms, or dimensions I guess. We are in an alternate dimension, Ino asked, freaked out. You fought in the fourth great ninja war and you're worried about being in another dimension? Kiba asked with a deadpan look on his face. We were still in our world, Baka. Ino exclaimed loudly, shaking her fist at Kiba. We have absolutely no idea where we are now. How are we supposed to operate under these conditions? Be quiet Ino, Shikamaru told her. Remember, we have no problem getting back now. Sasuke has the Rinnegan, so we don't have the problem with finding home. Relax. Hinata wrapped a hand around her husband's arm and asked him, Kiba-kun, we got Naruto now, so can we get back home now? Hang on Hinata, Kiba told her. Hey Naruto, didn't you say that those guys could use our help? We're here now, so what's the deal? Well, like I said, Naruto began, the woman with the black hair over there in the pink armor, her name is Mileena. She was the ruler of the land here but was unfairly and wrongfully overthrown. We need to restore her back to her throne. So, Kakashi said, we need to restore balance in another realm under an unofficial mission. And I can't even read my book. Juiced great. That's not all though, Naruto continued. The current ruler or false ruler if that's what you want to call him, is Kotal Khan. Honestly, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, more neutral than anything. From what I can tell from my recon so far is that he just wants this realm to grow and prosper. He saw that Mileena was doing a crap job, so he forcibly took over. Now, here we are. And these four here, they need to get back to Earthrealm. I already called my mother, General Blade, Cassie said, stepping forward. She told us that we can't go back until the mission is complete. Naruto turned back to her and said, fuck what she said to you. She left you out to dry in a severely hostile environment. Just wait until I get my hands on her. You can't beat my mom, Cassie said to him. Only 3 people beat her, my dad has been able to do that, and Raiden and Uncle Jax. That's it. Have you already forgotten what I did earlier? Naruto asked her. Cassie remembered Naruto's fire-covered giant Rasengan and stepped back a little, saying, okay, you might be 4 then. Mileena, come here for a sec, Naruto said to the Empress. She slowly walked around the small bonfire that Naruto had made earlier and stood beside him. He told her, well come on now, stick out your hand, introduce yourself. Mileena just looked at him with a blank stare and then looked at the newcomers. She then, swallowing her pride, stuck her hand and said to them, my name is Mileena, rightful heiress to the throne of Outworld. I see you are friends of Naruto's. I am pleased to meet you all. Kakashi walked forward and shook her hand, giving her his famous eye smile, saying, Kakashi Haddock, 6th Hokage of Konohagakure no Sado, and personal sensei to Naruto. Pleased to meet you. Mileena nodded as she let go of his hand. She looked at the others and then turned back to Naruto and asked him, now that your friends have found you, do you plan on returning to your homeworld? Maybe, Naruto answered, but not until I at least have you back on your throne. Official mission or not, it's my personal mission, and I will get it done. Mileena couldn't help but smile behind her mask. She reached down and grabbed his hand, holding it in both of hers and said to him, thank you Naruto Uzumaki. Ino, looking at the way this Mileena chick was holding Naruto's hand, she said to her, excuse me, Mileena. Hey, aren't Naruto together? What exactly do you mean by that? Mileena asked her. She means are you and Naruto fucking yet, Kiba said to her, smirking. Hinata and Ino both had the decency to blush a little bit while Ino nodded and said, well, yeah, I guess, but I really meant dating, you baka. Mileena smirked behind her mask and said to them, in a manner of speaking, yes. Why do you ask? Ino got a heated look on her face and pointed an accusing finger in Melina's face and said to her loudly, then you better be nice to him, you hear me? This man has been through way more than you know, and he doesn't deserve anyone who isn't the best, you understand, and if you do hurt him, I swear to God I will fry your fucking brain, you understand me girl? Mileena let go of Naruto's hand and pulled out her sei, flipping them a few times before she held them threateningly and said to Ino, how dare you? If you ever talk to me like that again, friend of Naruto's or not, I will kill you. Do you understand? That's enough, Mileena, Naruto intervened. I appreciate the gesture, really I do. Thank you for showing me that you care. However, I know Mileena won't do that sort of thing. At least, not if she wants me to pleasure her again, haha. Mileena hit Naruto in the chest and said to him, Naruto. How dare you say that in front of them? It's not like you don't enjoy it, Naruto teased her further. Anyways Kakashi-sensei, I'm going to help Mileena with her regaining her throne. Requesting permission for you guys to aid me in doing so. Kakashi nodded. Granted Naruto. Tsunade is in my place right now while I'm on the active search party. Kakashi turned around to face Sasuke, Shikamaru, Kiba, Ino and Hinata and told them, listen up. I, Kakashi Haddock, 6th Hokage of Konoha, hereby approve this mission. We are to aid Naruto in any way possible in helping Mileena regain her throne and restoring balance to Outworld. Use of lethal force is up to your discretion unless otherwise stated by Naruto. He has been here longer, therefore, he is the captain of this team, regardless of my status as Hokage. Here, ranks do not matter, our lives do. As it stands, this is an S-rank mission, with a possible upgrade to an SS rank. Are there any questions? Silence was returned to him. He nodded, then turned to Naruto and told him, okay Naruto, you're in command during this little escapade. Naruto nodded and said to them all, okay guys, here's the deal. Basically we need to, if possible talk to Kotal Khan and convince him to relinquish his position on the throne and return it to Mileena. Use of force is authorized, but only if we are attacked first. Secondly, we need to aid Cassie's team, they were basically abandoned when she called for help, so they have basically no supplies. For tonight, we're gonna rest up. Kotal Khan had a search party going on earlier today, but I threatened one of his generals or whatever they are, so hopefully they will call it off, but I don't count on it. If he is really adamant about catching Mileena, then he will probably at least have an undercover search or something like that, so we need to keep moving. I want to avoid unnecessary combat if possible, there are a lot of civilians out there. Are there any questions guys? Shikamaru said, do you know where his base of operations is Naruto? Yes, Naruto responded. It's about 7 to 8 miles east of here. At our speed we could be there in about 30 minutes, 2 hours at normal speed. Anything else? Ino asked him, do you know what kind of abilities here his soldiers have? I'm not entirely sure, Naruto told her, but maybe Mileena can help us out with that. Mileena. Mileena said to them all, Kotal Khan wields powers granted by the sun, namely fire. He uses it more of like a forceful blast than to burn. He has a few generals as well. Reptile, whom you've met, Naruto, specializes in spying and quick kills, with the ability to spit out acid and become invisible. We can sense chakra and energy signatures, Sasuke told her, and Hinata here, with her Byakugan, can't see anything. He cannot hide from us, even at his best. Mileena nodded and continued. Another one of his generals is called Ermac. Originally created by my father, he is a warrior made of thousands upon thousands of souls, collected into one being. Ermac uses telekinetic energy and forces people around or objects as well. He is more of a mid to long-ranged fighter than anything else. He is very dangerous, be wary of him. Naruto said to her, understood, anything else? Yes. There is also a pair, Farah and Tor. Tor is a large beast of a man, incredibly strong, but also incredibly stupid. Farah is like a little girl who rides on top of him and guides him. Very strong, but like I said, very stupid. How strong are we talking here? Kiba asked Mileena. Tor can easily rip a person in half, Mileena told him straight-faced. Kiba looked wary and said, yeah, let's watch out for him too. Defeating someone like that is easy, Naruto said to them all. You just have to outwit them and hit them first. If you do that, you're guaranteed to win. Mileena continued, saying there is also Eren. As he said, hey, is that the guy with the stupid-looking mask and the revolvers? Mileena turned to her and said, yes. The one with the stupid-looking mask. He is also a long-ranged fighter. There is also Dvora, an insect-like fool of a woman who almost killed me before Naruto saved me. Ah, so that's her name, Naruto said to himself. Yeah, that ugly thing just needs to die. Nothing that vile should be allowed to exist. Mileena went on, saying, and on top of all of them, he has hundreds of thousands of his own personal Aztec soldiers under his command. Don't worry about those guys, Naruto told her. If they really become a problem, I can make my own army with my shadow clones. So far, that is all I know as far as their abilities, Mileena told them. Kakashi nodded his head and said, that's a good start, knowing who they are and what they can do. Now, we know who can fight who to negate their effectiveness. From what you've told us about this Kotal Khan, Naruto, he sounds like a reasonable man. Do you think so, Mileena? Absolutely not. Mileena fumed angrily. That Aztec fool stole my throne. He will. Mileena. Naruto stated firmly. She looked at him and he looked at her with a stern glare. She calmed down and thought to herself, remember Mileena, look underneath, stop looking at only what's right in front of you, look beyond. Honestly I am not sure, she told Kakashi. I have only seen him as the one who wrongfully stole my throne and nothing else. Kakashi told her, don't worry about it, we'll fix that. What else do you have for us Naruto? That's about it for now, Naruto told him. Other than the recon, I have nothing else to say. Hang on a second. He looked around cautiously, as if he was looking for something. Sasuke and Kakashi realized it too, and they also were getting in a defensive stance. They knew they were being watched. Suddenly, the roof of the entire house was engulfed in a large green energy, cracked and splintered, then ripped off completely with the force of a strong tornado. Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Kiba, Ino, Hinata, Mileena, Cassie, Jakui, Kung Jin, and Takeda all looked up to see Ermac floating down towards them, levitating in the air with his green energy surrounding him. His slow descent finally found him on the floor of the wooden jutsu-created house, no longer with a roof, courtesy of Ermac. The cold winds and some snow blew in from the top as Ermac said to them, Mileena, you will come with us to Kotal Khan. Naruto stood in front of her protectively and pulled out a kunai and said to Ermac, listen up, we don't want to fight you or anyone else, we want to talk to Kotal Khan, but you are not taking Mileena away, understand? Ermac stepped forward, his hood slightly covering his face, his green eyes having an eerie glow to them. You are the one who took Mileena away from her execution. You are strong. However, your abilities pale before us. Relinquish Mileena and none shall be harmed. You just don't listen do ya? Naruto told Ermac. I'll say it simply this time. Mileena's staying with me, whether you like it or not. We are many, you are but one, we will destroy you, Ermac said as he got ready to fight. Naruto threw his kunai straight at Ermac's face. Ermac held up his hand and the kunai stopped an inch in front of his hand, surrounded by green energy. Ermac turned it around and launched it back at Naruto. The blade hit Naruto square in the throat. Naruto! Mileena yelled out. Naruto fell to his knees, clutching at his throat, then fell face first onto the floor. We warned you, Ermac said as he walked forward. He stopped right in front of the downed ninja. Ermac looked up at Mileena and Sasuke and the others. Ermac saw that Sasuke was just smiling at him. Why are you smiling? Ermac asked Sasuke. I'm smiling because you're fighting a hopeless battle against my friend, Sasuke answered him. Ermac was a little irked at Sasuke's attitude. I just killed your friend, or did you not just see? Look again, Sasuke told him. Ermac did so, looking at the dead ninja on the floor. It was then that he noticed something. There was no blood on the floor. It was then that the dead ninja puffed into smoke. What? Ermac said aloud. Rasengan. Ermac was suddenly hit with such an excruciatingly painful ball of chakra right in the center of his back. Arg. Ermac flew into the other side of the wooden house, splintering the wall and falling to the ground. Naruto walked up to him, his black mask on, scarf flowing in the air from the cold wind and snow, and his eyes now having a toad-like iris in them held absolute fury. You attack me and my friends Naruto said slowly. I even offer you a way out really, and yet you still attack. You try to kill me? You're in over your head Dumbus. Get up and give me what you've got. Ermac got up and snarled. He clapped his hands twice. The wall to the other side suddenly burst apart, Farah and Tor coming through like a wrecking ball. Avatama. Farah called out. Hahaha let's play Tor. Roog. Tor and Farah suddenly flew back out of the hole that they had made in the house, courtesy of a sage-powered fist in the chest from Naruto. He looked back at Ermac, performing a few hand signs, and then held them out. A Rasengan the size of a large beach ball began to form. Naruto looked directly in Ermac's eerie green eyes and said to him, your turn. Chapter 7, Service Restored. Naruto held his hands out straight, palms facing Ermac, the beach ball-sized Rasengan right in front of him, ready to be launched at its intended target. Your turn, Naruto told Ermac. Fire style. Flame enhancement. A blistering hot fire surrounded the Rasengan, ready to incinerate and pulverize anything in its way. Ermac saw this and teleported to Naruto's side and tried to hit him in the face. A second before his fist connected with Naruto's jaw, Naruto, along with his beach ball-sized, fire-covered Rasengan, disappeared. And then reappeared a moment later, directly above Ermac's head. Rasengan. Ermac dodged the attack just in time as Naruto shoved the jutsu in the floor of the wooden house, wooden shards covered in fire going everywhere. The fire quickly spread throughout the house, catching it on fire as well. Luckily, the roof was gone, courtesy of Ermac. The ninjas jumped out of the roof entrance, while the Earthrealm team and Mileena booked it out of the front door. By this time, Farah and Tor were running back up to the mall, clearly pretty damn pissed off. You here make trouble skinny. Farah yelled out at Naruto at the top of her little lungs. RRRNNNNN, trouble make you. Kill Tor. Arg. Tor, with Farah riding on his back charged once again at Naruto from behind, seeing red. Almighty push. Tor flew back once again, blown back with an incredible and yet invisible force. He looked up and saw Sasuke, holding up one hand directed at them. Then, Kakashi landed in front of Sasuke, still in his Anbu outfit, and very quickly performed a few hand signs, and lightning appeared in his hand. He charged directly at Tor, a long trail of lightning behind him. Lightning blade. Kakashi yelled at Tor. Tor held up a protective arm over his chest as the lightning jutsu pierced his arm clean through, Kakashi's arm getting stuck in the process. Tor lifted up his arm, lifting the stuck Kakashi as well. Tor brought back a massive fist, intending on crushing the white-haired man. Before he could do so, Kakashi planted both feet on the beast's arm and pushed himself off, freeing his arm. As he pushed off of Tor's arm, Kakashi backflipped in the air and flew a kunai and attached to it an explosive tag. The kunai buried itself in Tor's arm and exploded, destroying his arm. Tor howled in pain, waving around his bloody stump. Sasuke jumped above Kakashi and, on his descent, unsheathed his sword and falling behind Tor, cut him clean in half from Tor's head to his pelvis. Sasuke stepped back, flicked the blood off of his blade, spun it around, and sheathed his sword. Tor slowly fell apart, the two sides of his corpse crumbling into two bloody heaps on the ground. Tor. Farah cried out. She started to run to her partner, going as fast as her small frame allowed her. I don't think so. Kiba yelled out, arriving on the scene. Akamaru would have fun playing with you. Summoning jutsu. Kiba had found out a way to keep his partner out of unnecessary harm, a summoning contract between him and his partner. It was also easier for them to travel as well. And, sometimes, Akamaru was too damn tired sometimes to do anything. Tsume, his mother, had helped him figure this out. A puff of smoke later, the huge white feral-looking dog was in front of his master as Kiba said to him, "Look at that little midget there, boy. She tried to kill us. She's your chew toy now, buddy." Akamaru grinned, his sharp teeth shining. He growled, lowered his body, and with the speed of a cheetah, pounced and ran towards his target and new toy, Farah. Farah looked to her side and saw something large and white coming at her incredibly fast. Knowing she was too slow, she stopped and decided to deal with whatever it was. She soon discovered that she made a grave mistake when a large set of jaws clamped around her neck as she was football tackled to the ground. Akamaru clamped down on the small girl's neck as hard as possible. He was so powerful, she's so small, that one move killed her instantly, her spine snapped. He tossed her around violently, literally like a chew toy, blood flying everywhere. Akamaru clawed at her dead corpse, intent on making sure that she was definitely dead. He placed a firm paw on top of her chest, forcing her body down as he clamped his jaws over her head and pulled up, hard. The result? A sickening sound was heard as head, spine still attached, was separated from the body. Akamaru flung the separated head off to the side, sat on his haunches, and howled to the moon, announcing his victory. About 100 yards away, Naruto was in the middle of a heated battle with the construct of sorcery, Urmak, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto yelled, creating 50 shadow clones, all of them in their black outfits and red scarves and swords on their backs, charging at Urmak. Several of them threw kunai at him, only for them to be tossed to the side like toys, courtesy of Urmak's ability. 10 Narutos jumped up high in the air, coming down on him quickly, intending on stomping the man into the ground. Urmak raised one hand, it glowing brightly with his green energy. Suddenly all 10 Narutos that were high in the air froze, encased in the same green energy, and Urmak threw his hand down, hard. All 10 clones hit the ground with just as much force, if not more. The ground cracked, and the clones simultaneously poofed into clouds of smoke. The remaining clones continued to charge at him, continuing to throw kunai and shuriken at Urmak, attempting to distract him. It didn't work on a seasoned warrior like Urmak as it would have others. He swatted them away like flies, quite annoyed. "We are many, you are but a few," Urmak said, noting Naruto's ability to make copies of himself. "It does not matter how many of yourself you create, you are no match for the might of Shao Kahn's creation, Urmak." Urmak shot his hand forth, a huge green ball of energy flying at Naruto at a blazing speed. Naruto wasn't expecting this, and he tried to dodge it just in time by jumping to the side, but the ball hit one of his legs as he jumped. The force of the hit caused his body to flip around in the air several times before he actually hit the ground. Sitting up a little, he winced as he tried to stand up. "My leg feels like it was hit with a tree," Naruto muttered. "I can't let him hit me with that again, or it's over." Naruto made some more clones to provide as a distraction. He himself puffed into smoke, disappearing from view. "This pointless trick again?" Urmak commented as he swatted the kunai and shuriken to the side again and again. He grabbed one clone by the throat and held it up saying, "And here I was, being cautious, because Kotal Khan said you were dangerous. You just got lucky. Reptile always was weak. We are strong. We are Urmak. We will break you." The clone then started laughing a little and said, "Is that so? Well, at least my friend Hinata will break you first." "Who?" Urmak said. The real Naruto appeared directly behind Urmak and placed a paper tag on the back of Urmak and quickly drew a small pattern on it. Urmak crushed the clone's throat, it yelling out in pain before it dissipated into smoke. He then turned around and tried to hit Naruto in the jaw, but Naruto did a series of backflips away from the man, stopped, and kept his hands together and set out Ud Fuin. Ermac felt a strange energy wrap around inside of him, seemingly trapping the very energy itself, thus disabling his use of his telekinetic powers. It also forced his arms to go to his sides, completely outstretched as well as his legs, as if he was getting ready to do jumping jacks. "You fool," Ermac said to Naruto, "do you really think that this alone will stop me?" "No," Naruto said to him, "that's why I brought backup. Now, Hinata." "Hi." Hinata appeared behind Ermac via Shunshin, Byakugan already activated. With Ermac immobilized, he was a sitting duck, just waiting for his points to be closed out. "You're within my field of divination," Hinata said behind him. 8 trigrams, 128 palms. Hinata rushed forward, snake-like hands ready to strike with a vengeance. Ermac felt his entire constructed body suffer extreme pain on a more internal level as he felt each one of his pressure points shut down, also further disabling his use of his powers. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms, 8 trigrams, 128 palms. Hinata had hit each and every point in Ermac's body from behind multiple times. Ermac spit out a copious amount of blood from his mouth, his entire body, every inch of it both inside and out, in extreme severe pain. His body involuntarily shook with agony. However, the seal that Naruto had placed on him still trapped his body in that jumping jack's position. Ermac looked up at Ermac and told him, "I wasn't doing my best against you, Ermac," Naruto told him. "I was setting you up for this. I can't question you if you're dead. You will provide me with answers, or you will suffer." Ino slowly walked up to Ermac, finally catching up to Hinata and Naruto. "Yes, Naruto," Ino said in response to her summons. "I want you to search this man's mind," Naruto told her. "See what you can find. He may be a tough nut to crack, so be careful." "Hi, Naruto," Ino nodded. She walked up and placed her hand onto Ermac's forehead and closed her eyes and focused her energy onto her target's conscious and memories. The second she did that though, she shot her hand back and grabbed her own head in severe pain, screaming a little, shouting out, "So many minds. So many memories. So many souls." She threw a death glare at Ermac and said to him, "What the fuck are you?" Ermac could only smirk at Ino's feeble attempt to read his mind. We are many you are but one blah motherfucking blah," Naruto said, cutting him off. "Listen, Ermac bud, I really don't give a damn how many of you there are in that little fake ass head of yours, but you just hurt my friend." Naruto brought a kunai out and stabbed Ermac's foot, staking it into the ground. Ermac cried out in pain. "Now, you will tell me what I want to know, or," Naruto pulled out another kunai and said, "we can play pin the cushion all night long and make the fat lady sing. It's your choice." "Or," Ermac yelled out. Farah, Kakashi, Kiba, Sasuke and Akamaru walked up to the rest of the group, carrying the 2 halves of the head of Tor and the head and still attached spine of Farah. They threw the 2 severed body parts at Ermac's feet and Kakashi said to him, "Trust me, their ends were not quick, nor were they painless. It is in your best interest to give us the information we want to know. We will not betray our ARG." Ermac cried out in pain as Naruto staked Ermac's other foot. Ermac glared out Naruto with hate and Naruto said to him, "What? Did you think that I was joking when I said we would play pin the cushion? Here, let me reiterate that for you." Naruto withdrew his sword from the sheath on his back and stabbed Ermac's leg. Ermac once again cried out in pain as Naruto pulled his blade out, flicked the blood off, and sheathed it back in its case on his back. "Now, I think I made myself clear that time. Next time though, a blade is going through your gut. Now, tell me what I want to know." Ermac, realizing he had no choice if he wanted to survive, nodded his head. "No, tell me what I want to know," Mileena said as she walked around the group to face Ermac. She brought out her 2 sei, spun them around, and pointed one of the tips a millimeter from one of Ermac's eyes and said to him, "Why did you betray me?" Ermac didn't say anything for a minute but then said to her, "Because you stowed away from your father's goals and more towards your own. That is preposterous." Mileena yelled out. "Is it?" Ermac said to her. "Your father, Shao Kahn, ruled Outworld. You, Mileena, wanted to rule. I am faithful to Outworld and will serve whoever has the best interests of Outworld at heart, which you do not." Mileena froze in place, taking in what she was just told. She looked away slightly, unable to defend herself from what Ermac had just said. And honestly, it made perfect sense. I have recently changed," Mileena told him. "Thanks to Naruto, I can now see clearly. I wish to rule Outworld and perfect it, to protect it and its people, not to just simply rule it to be called a ruler of something. I have seen the pain our citizens suffer from, and I wish to rectify it. However, I cannot unless I am Empress once again." "We do not trust you," Ermac told her immediately. "How do we know that this is not some trick to get us to serve you once again?" "Think whatever you will," Mileena told him. But I know that I have changed and I seek now to change Outworld for the better. You, Ermac, with or without your help, will see that happen. Feeling the effects of Hinata's attack begin to wear off slightly, he looked at Naruto and asked him, we wish to look into her mind. She has fallen from her father's way before, we wish to see for ourselves if she is being truthful or not. Naruto thought about it for a long second. What should I do, Kurama? Think about it, kid, if this works out, you will have another very powerful ally on your side. Hopefully, this does not come down to a fight in the end, but either way he will prove vet useful. I say let him do it. Obviously, it doesn't hurt to take precautions. Understood. Thanks buddy. Naruto created 10 clones that surrounded Ermac. Each one of them pulled out a sealing tag and each one drew a similar bit different pattern on it. Then, one by one, each clone placed a tag on each of his limbs, the back of his head, chest, and back. Once all tags were placed, Naruto told Ermac, I am going to release the restricting seal. However, Naruto pointed at the remaining tags on various parts of his body. If I so much as smell you going to harm Mileena in any way at all, I will activate these tags. Each one will seal away whatever body part they are connected to. In other words, you will literally be ripped apart. Is that understood? For once a little fearful, Ermac nodded his understanding. He had encountered many foes before, but never as dangerous as Naruto or these others that were with him. Not even the Earthrealm team of Cassie, Takeda, Jakui and Kung Jin came close to their prowess and ruthlessness in battle. He could honestly say that he had finally encountered a real ninja. Naruto brought up a hand in the ram sign and said, Kai. The restricting seal pattern faded and disappeared and the actual tag itself fell off of Ermac's back and slowly drifted to the ground. The other tags were still armed and ready to be activated though. Ermac brought up one hand and lightly placed it upon Mileena's forehead and began reading her thoughts. Ermac was thoroughly surprised. He had seen all of the events since Mileena's initial rescue by Naruto himself. He had seen the trek to the forest, the actual house created, the conversations they had, the lecture Naruto had given her, the love session they had, the bonding they had made everything up until this very moment. He lowered his hand slowly, staring at Mileena. He then looked at Naruto and slowly looked at everyone else. He then looked back at Mileena and said to her, we will serve the new Empress of Outworld. He then knelt upon the ground, bowing his head to Mileena, Khanum of Outworld. Good work, Dvora, a deep voice said. You have carried out your work perfectly. Did they suspect you at all? No, Dvora replied to the voice. Kotal Khan trusts this one completely. Excellent, the voice said back to her. Bring the amulet to me as soon as possible. The inevitable return of our lord is near. This one lives to serve Lord Shinnok, Dvora said to the voice, bowing. As do I, the voice said to her. Meet me at the Earthrealm defenses in 7 days. Until then, do your normal activities with Kotal Khan. Yes, Quan Kai, Dvora said as the green and ghost-like apparition dissipated into thin air. Dvora turned around and walked back to her Kotal Khan's camp, a smile on her face. Chapter 8 Revelations. Rise, Ermac, Mileena told him. Ermac rose to his feet and before he could say anything, Mileena said to him, Ermac, before anything else is said or done, know this. I fully intend to make Naruto my mate, thus, he will also rule Outworld by my side. Kakashi, Sasuke, Kiba, Akamaru, Shikamaru, Ino, Hinata, and even the Earthrealm team were shocked to hear this. Naruto had his suspicions, but this just confirmed it. However, he did not let his emotions show. He wasn't really what to expect from the now unofficially restored Khanum. What? Ino yelled out. She, on the other hand, had no problem at all saying what she was feeling out loud. Or so loud that she could wake the dead. What do you mean, he's going to help rule Outworld or whatever the hell this place is? He belongs in Konoha. Do you really expect him to just up and leave his home? I have my ways to convince him, Mileena said to Ino, slowly gliding a hand across Naruto's chest. Get your hands off of him. Hinata said sternly, her grip on her husband's arm tightening. Why should I? Mileena said to her, glaring at her. It looks like you have already been claimed by the man working with the White Wolf. Who are to tell me to back off? Hinata stammered out. Then she looked back up and argued out to Mileena, he can do better than you. With who, I wonder? Mileena said. With you, perhaps. Hinata had the common decency to blush a little. She may have gotten over her obsessive feelings for Naruto, but that didn't mean that she still didn't care for him deeply. It looks as if you wish you were with him, Mileena said, smirking behind her mask. I am pleased to inform you that Naruto and I have already laid together, just in case you didn't know. Everyone except for Ermac was shocked to hear this. Hinata and Ino, especially. Even though Ino was now married to Sai and Hinata to Kiba, they still had their blonde friend's interests at heart. They felt that their friend was losing his way. Especially Ino, since she had read his mind and saw everything. At least from a third-person view anyway. How could you do that, Naruto? Ino yelled at Naruto. I tried to help you out that one day during our session to get you to show some sort of emotion or reaction or anything, really. And you just act like I wasn't even there. What the fuck, Naruto? Naruto? Hinata asked softly. Did you really sleep with Mileena? Why? Naruto asked suddenly. Huh? Ino said smartly. What do you mean, Naruto? Hinata scared him. Why do you care so much now? Naruto asked them. He then turned and began to walk away from the group. We have always cared, Naruto. Ino yelled out to him as he continued to walk away. Naruto whipped around, furious. Bullshit. He yelled out to her. He then walked to her and pointed at her directly in the face. You want to talk about that fucking day you tried to so-called help me, Ino? Let's go over the facts, shall we? He held up one finger and said to her, 1. You saw my memories. And every single one of them, you had an opportunity to play a part in at least stepping in to ease the pain or stop whatever was happening completely. 2. Not only did you ignore me every single time, just like Sakura did, you also hurt me. Do you know how many times you or Sakura had knocked me from the door to the classroom just to get to your precious Sasuke first? Ino looked taken aback by his sudden outburst. She could only dumbly shake her head. The Earthrealm team, Ermac and Mileena could only watch as the events unfolded right in front of them. How many days did we attend the academy, Ino? Naruto asked her. I don't know. We went for about 6 years, Naruto. What does that have to do with? Imagine every day you would get slammed against a wall by you and you fucking friend or rival or what the fuck ever, Ino. Naruto yelled at her again. Once or twice, no big deal, but over 600 fucking times. And you know what, how many times do you think I came to class fresh out of the hospital, just barely done recovering from the assaults from the villagers? How many times did I still have a broken bone or two or was still extremely fucking sore from the pain? Or still hungry as hell because I had no food in my entire fucking house? Or was very fucking pissed off because of the fucking village? Do you have any idea what it's like to be shunned, ignored, beaten, or all three, by the very people you're sworn to protect? Ino could only shake her head. And that, Ino, was just the times you and or Sakura knocked me into the wall at the academy. There have been several times in which you or Sakura hit me for stupid shit really fucking hard. Sent me to the hospital. You also put me down, you bullied me, you made fun of me, you and just about everyone else would always take an opportunity to put me down, either physically, emotionally, mentally, or even all fucking three. So I ask you now, Ino, what the fuck is wrong with me? You. And everyone else in that damned, worthless village. And you, Hinata. You are no better. Naruto lashed out at her. Hinata was shocked. She had never done anything to him. What, you think you never did anything, Hinata? Naruto yelled at her. But I didn't. Bullshit. Naruto yelled again. You really think I didn't know you were stalking me that whole time? I always felt some presence near me just about everywhere I went, but when I finally found out it was you, I paid more attention. And guess what? You were there several times I was beat to hell by the villagers. Or by our own classmates. You saw and you did absolutely nothing. You didn't shout for help, you didn't shout at them to stop, nothing. Which, Hinata, makes you just as fucking guilty. Hinata then had tears streaming down her face. Hey Naruto, that's my wife you're talking to. Kiba said angrily to his friend. I don't give a damn. Naruto yelled out Kiba. He then pointed a finger at him and said to him, you were there also a few times when I was beat down to the fucking ground. I even remember you helping them. It was only once or twice, but you still played a fucking part. Shikamaru, you just stood by and fucking watched. Sasuke. You had to go all fucking emo and betray the fucking village and practically force me to promise Sakura that I would bring you back. You stabbed me in the chest, almost killed me several times. And finally, you, Kakashi. Kakashi could only close his eyes and slowly lower his head, he knew full well what he was guilty of. You knew who my parents were, the one thing I wanted to know more than anything else. Naruto yelled at him. You knew how much it literally eating away at my very fucking soul, how much it meant to me, and yet you just sat there and watched me fucking suffer. And then, on top of everything else, when it came down to our training right before the Chunin exams, you fucking ditched me for that asshole right there. The only reason I won against Neji is because I absolutely refused to lose. I was sick and tired of everyone beating down on me every fucking chance they got. Now, you all tell me this, why the fuck should I not leave the damn village? Naruto flipped them all off and walked in the other direction, away from everyone and more towards the forest, while yelling out to the air, I've always been alone. Me. Just me, all the fucking time. No wonder why I went fucking crazy. Fuck everyone, fuck all of you. I know the moment I choose to trust someone from that damn place, I'll be hurt again. That's why I cut my emotions off for good. No emotion, no pain. That was when he disappeared into the thick forest. The Earthrealm team, Ermac, Mileena, Kakashi, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Kiba, Akamaru, Hinata and Ino were all shocked about his display. Is this true? Mileena asked coldly. Ermac subtly read their minds and looked at Mileena and told her, Mileena Konam, it is true. What Naruto just said is indeed true. Mileena looked back at the Konoha group and said to them, well, I can honestly say that you all are absolute monsters. Hey. Ino yelled out to her. I am not a monster. Who are you to say? Mileena retorted. You heard everything he just said. Ermac confirmed it and you admitted to it. You all caused his pain. How are you not monsters? I have never betrayed any of my own. She pulled down her mask and showed them her beautiful full lips, just begging for a kiss, and her targeted teeth on either side. MKX look, just in case you didn't know. Everyone but Sasuke and Kakashi was shocked as Mileena said to them, I may not be completely human, but I am no monster. Mileena put her mask back on and said, Ermac, follow me. We need to find Naruto and make sure he's okay. We're coming with you, Cassie said, finally able to find her voice. She couldn't believe these people from Konoha did that to Naruto. We want to help you out, Empress. Hold up, Takeda said to Cassie. She looked at him a little confused as he walked up to Kakashi and told him, I am Takeda Takahashi. I am a member of the Shirai Ryu Ninja clan, and my master is Hanzo Hazashi, also known as Scorpion. He is not the most pleasant of people I've met, but his sense of honor and loyalty are second to none. That is what you guys need. Hey kid, Kiba was about to say, but Takeda interrupted him saying, I know what you're gonna say. He told him that you are loyal to your village and leader and whatnot. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about to each other, to your friends, to your teammates. One is there for everyone, and everyone is there for the one. But we are there for our friends and our teammates. Ino exclaimed. Takeda simply walked up to her face and stared her straight in the eyes as he pointed a finger out into the forest and told her, you forgot one. He turned and walked with the rest of his team into the thick of the forest, joining in the search for the black-clad sage. Naruto was high up in a tree, sitting on a particularly thick branch, leaning his back up against the trunk and staring off into space. He had had enough of his so-called friends say that they were innocent when they knew full well what the hell they partook in. He sensed Mileena and Ermac not too far away. He looked down to his right and sure enough, there stood Mileena, looking around for him. Apparently, Ermac either saw him or sensed him, because he saw Ermac pointing at him, making Mileena look up at him as well. Seeing he was spotted, he decided to jump down and join them on the ground. He swung his legs over the branch he was on and scooted himself off of the tree limb and began his descent to the ground. Once he landed, he looked over at the two Outworlders and stood up straight. What? He asked simply. I want to help you, Naruto, Mileena told him. You wish to strengthen Outworld, we will aid you in your conquest, Ermac told Naruto. Did the others follow you? Naruto asked them. Cassie, Jakui, Jin, and Takeda came up behind Ermac, and Cassie said, just us. Screw those other guys, especially after what we just heard. Hey, Naruto, for what it's worth, I'm sorry you went through all of that, Takeda said to Naruto. That wasn't even a quarter of everything I had to deal with, Naruto said, but waved it off. It doesn't matter. What's done is done. The mission continues, Mileena. Objectives are to get you back on your throne and you guys back to your home. And what about you, man? Jin said, sounding sincere for once. Naruto just shook his head. I really don't care. Cassie said that Kotal Khan has the amulet, Sonya told her superior. How is this possible? The person said to Sonya Blade. She was supposed to retrieve it from Mileena. And she did, Sonya told him. But she was double-crossed by Kotal Khan. He had them locked up but then got free. Also, she said that someone apparently rescued Mileena, but from what I understand, poses no threat against them. As far as I know, Mileena is still alive, Kotal Khan has the amulet, and Cassie and her team are still in Outworld continuing their mission. You didn't bring them back for more supplies or maybe reinforcements? The person asked Sonya. A little flustered, she said, well, no. I was upset at her for failing the most crucial part in the miss. It does not matter, Sonya Blade. The man said angrily. You know full well that one cannot complete their mission successfully if unprepared. Cassie did her best, as well as her team, and were tricked by a very clever man. It is not her fault. I am going to Outworld and retrieving them. He began to walk away from the encampment he had met Sonya in as she said to him, wait a minute, your powers are severely weak in Outworld. What are you doing? Raiden turned to her and said, recovering your daughter, like you should have already done. He held up his hand and disappeared in a flash of lightning. We need to go back to Konoha, Ino said to everyone. We need to resupply, regroup, and redeploy. We can't leave Naruto out here. Yeah, Kiba agreed. Honestly, I feel terrible, I never thought of everything in the past. Apparently it did more than we thought it would. We abandoned him before, I won't let it happen again. I agree, Kakashi said, nodding his head. He turned to Sasuke and said to him, can you create a portal for us, Sasuke? We need more help if we're gonna do this. We can't leave Naruto here, Sasuke said simply. We're not, Kakashi told him. We are going back to get more supplies and more reinforcements. I am not leaving him behind, you have my word on that. Sasuke nodded his head and turned his back to the group. His chakra flared as his left eye opened wide, opening a portal looking like a purple and black abyss, saying, "Let's go." One by one, they all jumped through the portal back to Konoha. Sasuke was the last one to leave, the portal closing behind him as he went through. On the other side of the portal, the Konoha team came out through the portal created by Sasuke and into the Hokage Tower. Tsunade stood up quickly as she looked at them and said in a worried tone, "Did you find him?" Kakashi stepped forward and said to the Sannin, "Yes, Tsunade. We found him, but he's still in a place called Outworld. Apparently he is on a self-imposed mission to restore a woman named Mileena to her throne and to get another small group of people back to their corresponding homeworld." "What world are they from?" Tsunade asked Kakashi. "The team I'm talking about is from a place called Earthrealm," he told her. "Ah, Earthrealm," Tsunade exclaimed. "You know of this place?" Sasuke asked Tsunade. "Of course I do," Tsunade said with a smiling face. "Do you have any idea how huge their casinos are?" "Ooh, man. Unfortunately I always lost." "As usual. Then maybe you should come with us," Kiba said aloud. "We are here to get some more supplies and reinforcements and then we're out at Outworld again." "Wait, how did you even know about Earthrealm to begin with?" Ino asked her. "Ino dear, when you have traveled as much as I have, drank as much as I have, run away for as long as I have, you tend to find new places. I met someone named Sonya Blade. She was on a drinking binge, much like I was one day out in Tenzuki town. I think that's the place it was called, you know, the place where Naruto and Jiraiya found Tsunade. If that's not correct please let me know. She was there with her partner, Jax. They both were drinking heavily and laughing, talking about old times and apparently having a shot challenge. I challenged them to a drinking contest and, naturally, I won. Those lightweights couldn't handle their liquor against me, hahaha. Anyways, they took me back to Earthrealm through one of their portals. Why were they here at all?" Shikamaru asked her. "They were celebrating a hard-fought war against something named Netherim, another world of demons or something like that," Tsunade explained to the shadow wielder. "So, you went back to this Earthrealm and then what?" Kiba asked. "Just drank and drank and drank some more, then drank some more after that," she said. She sighed and then said, "That was fun. Sonya was a cool woman. And Jax was pretty cool, but pretty cheesy now that I think about it. Either way," Kakashi said to her, "we could really use your help. Please come with us and anyone else you feel would be useful in our conquest to help Naruto in his own mission, as well as getting him back home." Tsunade nodded and snapped her fingers. 4 Anbu appeared in front of her and she said to them, "Get me Shino Aburam, Sakura Haruno, Hanabi Hyuga and Choji Akamichi immediately, as well as the 2 elders." "Hi." The 4 Anbu said simultaneously before they disappeared. About 10 minutes later, everyone who was summoned appeared in front of the 5th Hokage. "Elders," Tsunade began, "you two will be running the village for an indefinite period of time, while Kakashi and his current team, myself and my team of Hanabi, Shino, Choji and Sakura go out search for Naruto. The Anbu commander will run the shinobi side, while you two handle the civilian side of the village. This is to remain so until we return. Are there any questions?" No one answered, so Tsunade nodded and said to Sasuke, "Sasuke-Uchiha, can you create a portal that leads us directly to Naruto?" Sasuke nodded his head and said to her, "I can create one that is within 50 yards of his location. Is that the closest you can get us?" Tsunade asked him. "Yes, Lady Tsunade," Sasuke replied. "That will have to do then," Tsunade said. She went to a wide chest on one side of the room and opened it. It contained at least 50 scrolls, each one looking the same as the last. She then turned to look at everyone and said to them, "Each of you grab 2 scrolls each. These are storage scrolls, each one containing 3 months worth of food and supplies for an emergency mission. Take these and be ready to go." One by one, each of the shinobi about to depart on the mission grabbed 2 scrolls. Tsunade, being the last one to grab her 2 scrolls, stuffed them inside of her green jacket and closed the chest and locked it. She then stood up and faced Sasuke and said, "Sasuke-Uchiha, create the portal." "Hi." Sasuke turned towards one of the walls and once again his chakra flared as he created the portal, leading as close to Naruto's position as he could possibly get. "It's ready," he said to everyone. "Move out," Tsunade ordered. One by one, Kakashi, Kiba, Akamaru, Shikamaru, Choji, Shino, Sakura, Hinata, Hanabi, Ino, and Tsunade herself went through the portal. Sasuke entered last, the portal once again closing behind him. What if Konoha wants Naruto back? Mortal Kombat. Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.